to play, and if you just enjoy watching, it's what we got for you today. Looks like we got some people taking the Ravelin strat of going to Narsh. We've got Jackamus almost immediately rushing to Maza, about to go into this burning house, it feels like.
I mean, if you're there, you're going to check it out. We're going to find it. I would actually be really surprised if Jack jumped into it this early. But, you know, get that information. If you can figure out that it's a viable check earlier than someone else and it holds that progression that you need, you know, it's gonna give you that sort of advantage. I actually do believe that most of your explanation for Worlds Collide did get lost. So if you want to go ahead and do a take 2 on that, because it was really good and I don't want to step on your toes for that, you know, once more with feeling.
Nice. Acting, take 2. So this is Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide Randomizer. This is your favorite Final Fantasy VI game that you played as a kid, except now the community that has put this game together has turned it into one big treasure hunt. So you got the game that you love playing with the story gutted, meant to be played fast. You can go to all your favorite locations and relive the game again. Except this time, instead of going through and trying to discover the story of Terra and Celis and Locke and all your favorite characters, it's turned into one big treasure hunt. The goal, put next to everybody's name on their trackers up there, for every game is changes, but for this one, you got to find 7 characters and 10 espers. And once your favorite player finds that, they can go into Kefka's tower and go beat the Clown Prince of Darkness. It's a really fun way to replay the game and also just re-enjoy your something you grew up with and loved. And I did see fixed dice in Narsh in a place that nobody ever checks. Whoa. Sorry, distracted there. So yeah, there's a whole community of people who have this available to you. You can go check it out at ff6wc.com. You can check out the Discord for a lot of starter stuff if you're interested in playing, or if you just want to watch a scene and see what it's about. This is what this race is here for today. You're going to see 4 people trying to get there to Kefka's tower and beat him the fastest. The things that we're going to be looking for is who's going to come up with the strategies that gets them the stuff that they're looking for the quickest. Who's going to find the items by taking chances on what they check that help them the most. You probably remember those level 3 spells that are really good, like Fire 3, Ice 3, Bolt 3. There's some weapons that we will probably make note of when we see Atmo weapons, Valiant Knife, Fixed Dice. Those things allow the runners to do a lot of damage real fast. Shields, Illuminas as well in Ragnarok's. Shields may include the Paladin shield if that comes up, and other gear would include the Snow Muffler and the Minervas, which will allow for a lot of defense. So we'll probably go wild once we see those. And then we get to see all these different enemies in different places, and it's about who uses their strategy and knowledge of the game to get to the end the fastest.
Yep. So just to add on a little bit to that, in a moment, I do want to bring up that we are going to do a quick reboot here. The seed is the correct seed, but all of these special, like, hey, look, this is, you know, new and special things that Breana worked so hard on, were not included in the file. So we're going to do a quick reset since we're only about 5 minutes in. So you're going to see everything will be in the same places and we'll have the same starting characters, but there will be some special spice added in. Don't know what that is, and I'm actually really looking forward to it. So one other thing to just add to the Worlds Collide understanding is that we typically play on what's called a character gated mode. So each character that you get opens up a certain number of checks, and it's usually checks that are related to that character. So for example, we started off here with Strago and Umaro. Strago opens up Fanatics Tower in the World of Ruin. It opens up Burning House, which we could see as Jackamus Wedge, was jumping in there. and it also opens Ebot's Rock in the World of Ruin. Straco is generally considered to have some of the worst checks in the game because they're all long and obnoxious.
Yeah. Usually they're characters we really like to see early on. For me, Shadow's one of my favorite because he's got doggo defense. Well, it looks like Fantastodon's still going.
We
A
are
little bit.
trying to get a message to him as quick as we can. And in terms of traveling between the World of Balance and the World of Ruin, you start off with the airship. You walk up to the airship controls, and you just choose the option of, go to the World of Ruin or go to the World of Balance.
Yeah, it's very much
It's pretty
a
slick.
modded version. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it is pretty slick. It is very modded. One thing I will add is, we all have a big thank you shout out to our developer, Atmatech. Atmatech is pretty awesome overall. He does all of the development currently on his own. And we are steadily marching towards our, official 1.0 out of beta release soon. That is what I can say. It will be soon.
And what does the 1.0 have an advantage over the 0.9s that we've been playing as of late?
I can't tell you.
Okay. That's just going to build more excitement for all of us to want to play it and stuff.
Exactly. It is going to bring what I would call some major meta shifts and changes in how we are going to play and understand this game.
Interesting. I mean, I love this game already, and I only hope that we see better. And fingers crossed for the ability for Plandos, but who knows? We have a couple NDAs signed and legally signed, clearly in chat here. So
absolutely.
So I guess we're just waiting on Fantastodon to eventually get the message that we're going to restart this seed, just to make sure everybody's on the same page and we get all the fantastic things that were built into it. So if you guys are wondering why the counter is going and we're just waiting on one run, that's ultimately what's going on. While that's happening, Ravlin, who's your favorite character?
Mog.
Ooh, okay. Why Mog?
I'm a bit of a Moogle fanboy. I have 5 of them tattooed to my body.
Oh my goodness, that's a lot. None on your face, right?
No, I've got a half sleeve and one on my back. Please don't ask for more details on where that is, because then I'd have to tell an embarrassing story about choices I made when I was 18 years old.
Look, it seems like Fantastodon's taken a little while, so we might have time for this story. I'm just saying we have time for this story.
I mean, I walked into a tattoo shop with my friends and ended up I got a tramp stamp when I was 18, and it is Mog.
I felt so bad. I was at this place and I was talking with one of my buddies. I was like, I was talking about the idea of like people getting tattoos. I was like, I could never get one for myself. Like, I know there's just a lot of people who went and got tattoos thinking, hey, I'm just gonna get one and try to find a place on my body to put it where my parents would never find out, and then they're gonna find out anyway. And then the person next to them was like, that's exactly what I did. I was like, ooh, sorry. Foot in mouth. So, well, that's cool, man. In terms of the game, though, like who do you like to see as soon as you're playing Worlds Collide?
My favorite characters to see when I start playing Worlds Collide, I like to see Terra. Terra has some of the best checks in the game, between Gate to the Sealed Cave and frankly, I like Leet River, but I'm crazy. She also has a very quick check in Welk, which is very, very useful as well. So, there are a lot of, she opens up a lot of checks, and frankly, she usually has access to the most powerful equipment in the game. She has really good base stats overall for everything. So, she is just very, very generally useful. You're never sad to see Terra.
Yeah, I'll go with that. I know for me it's Shadow. One, because Shadow is like my favorite character, even though he's a terrible father. Um, he you got Doggo defense, which really saves you early on if you have a lot of trouble with the playing the game as I do. I'm definitely not one of the top guys in this community, but I very much enjoy it. So that extra defense always helps out. And you got a couple early easy checks. You've got Cave in the Veld and you've got Gao's Manor, which you can get some, depending on the flags, get some early stuff that's super easy to help you out. Are the characters' abilities randomized? Absolutely have that potential. So when you roll the seed, you can have it where everybody could get very different possibilities. So someone like Terra could get throw instead of more for runic, and you could also throw in a couple other abilities in there that were very uncommon, but did happen during the game. So things such as health from Bannon, shock from General Leo, which is definitely one of my favorite commands, possess, which you would get from the ghosts, which is often not included because it's a bit unfair, but it's in the pool there as well, and you can exclude certain ones as well, or you can customize them to whoever you'd like, which is really cool.
Absolutely. There are actually several ways to break even, Worlds Collide's already, a little bit broken compared to well, let's be real, Final Fantasy VI is kind of a broken game to begin with.
Yeah, there
But
were a
then
lot of things that you guys ended up patching.
there are several bugs, like the evade bug. We have all of these things are toggles so that when you create your seed, if you want the evade bug still in, you can have it in. If you want the ability to have the infinite retort glitch to happen, you can leave it in, or you can patch it out. Um, but with a randomizer, when you add in the ability to be like, hey, sometimes you go to the Coliseum and you bet an eye drop and you get an Illumina, you can break the game even more.
Yeah. And what's cool about this game too is if you're somebody who's really into the options and you like to give yourself challenges and try different things, there's all the options for you to do it. And if you're just someone who's like, I just want to play a thing, there's presets that you can just go, very much like in the Link to the Past community. It's to the level that you want to customize it for yourself and for the people that you may or may not be racing against. It's really nice in that I know we do the seed of the week, which I love to do, where we all get one seed and we all see who can go the fastest on it, and it's all got different ideas and different themes to it, and yeah, that's always fun to do because in many ways it's very much like a treasure hunt of trying to figure out what was changed, what people are trying to get you to do, and how you're going to tackle a new challenge every time.
Yeah, absolutely. And to me, half of the fun is well, I'm a little bit sadistic with my seeds. I go for maximum chaos and maximum randomness, which, to be fair, is not to everyone's taste, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Not everyone has to like the same things. But in some other randomizers, you have it where like the bosses are shuffled around. Well, we can do that in Worlds Collide, or we can do it where there's random bosses where you might be fighting Doomgaze 6 times.
Yeah.
Because, that's silly.
We just did a seed of the week where the dragons were shuffled along with the bosses, and it took me 4 hours. I think fastest was maybe Javinator. Somebody did 2.5 hours. It was a long seed for a lot of us. Trying to find it. I think I second to last location the final boss or the final dragon just to be able to beat Kefka. It was Baron's Dragon Hunt. Yep. Some people liked it, some people didn't, but I just enjoy playing.
Yeah. One of my favorite recent seeds that I heard about, I didn't get a chance to see, was one of our community members has built a bot to generate random flag sets. And each flag is given a challenge rating, like a difficulty rating. So you can tell the bot, like, roll me a seed that's 100 difficulty. roll me a seed that's 200 difficulty. Well, someone else in the community rolled 100 million sets of flags and then took the most difficult flag set and made an async out of it, an asynchronous race. We just put up the seed, you run it, you post your time, we can then talk about it afterwards. I believe the fastest time was 9 hours.
What? What was it? When was this? What? Huh?
I don't know, and I'm sad that I missed it.
Yeah, I kind of want to run this seed. If anybody has any things, at me in the Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide Discord, because I would love to. Okay, Jex Rocks has a video on demand of it. We'll have to on his Twitch. We'll have to check that out because wow. Like I thought I rolled one of the most difficult seeds at one point, in which it was an Umaro start, and it took somebody like 3 hours of like having to beat Goddess, which was the first boss, to allow for any progression, and it was all based on like finding 1 or 2 items that would give the ability to actually beat Goddess, and all randomness.
Yeah, a lot of the more challenging seeds, they end up having like plus enemy levels.
Yeah.
And a lot of times what you have to end up doing is you have to find Phoenix Downs or Revivifies, either for sale or in chests, get a whole bunch of them, and then find somewhere where you can consistently get an undead enemy encounter, where you can use those Revivifies to, kill those enemies very quickly and just get some XP. And one of the things about Final Fantasy VI is you can get very deep into the weeds of like the math and all the algorithms on how damage and defense works, but the bottom line is levels do more than anything else. So with enough levels, you will just outscale the game.
Oh wow. Man, I'm looking up at Jaxie's stream now to see if this 10-hour thing exists. I mildly got distracted doing that, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, no worries. So the special things about this seed is, it's sort of your, I don't want to say basic, stock standard, racing seed, 7 characters, 10 espers, 2 character start. Some of the specialness that we're going to see was put in by hand, lovingly crafted by our tracker and restreamer BreanaFoFanna, who took a lot of time and effort to do this. So we want to make absolutely sure that her work is seen and showcased. So I'm expecting some special, maybe some special sprites, maybe some special item names or character names. I'm not 100% sure. I'm just guessing and spitballing here, but I am looking forward to it. That is another thing that I like is, we have a habit of doing some of these special themed seeds. We've got a lot of community members who, absolutely take the time and, will create something special for us. Andrew, were you around when Jones did his community seed?
No, I don't think I remember that one.
Another community member, they did a seed where anyone who was interested could respond, and they were added into the seed in some way, sort of based on what they were known for in the community. Some people were characters. Some people had special items renamed after them. For example, I know they renamed Mog Rav for that. And like Rav came with an entire set of special gear that gave him the dragon boots and dragon horn ability just through his weapon and armor, so that you could use your relics for some other stuff. And a lot of items were modified and upgraded to be new and special.
Oh, that's cool. I kind of remember that back in the day, but I think I was just somebody who's just like downloading seeds and playing every once in a while, and I didn't really know necessarily a ton of stuff. I kind of remember seeing some of it, and all of it. I think a lot of it went over my head.
Mm-hmm. My other favorite special seed we did wasn't for Halloween this year. It was for Halloween last year.
Yeah.
And I organized it with Atma, and we didn't tell anyone what was the special thing about it.
Yeah.
But every enemy in the game was undead.
Nice. That is a Halloween seed. Speaking of undead, I think we've come back from the graveyard right now. We're about to hop right into this. Everybody's got their character selection screens ready to go. Seems like the countdown's ready to start for everybody about to go jump in their seeds. So this is going to be exciting. We've got everybody's going to kind of retrace some old steps. We'll be paying attention to the items that everyone gets. So we'll make note of that. But the big things I saw early on were we saw some fixed dice, some thunder shields, a pearl lance, a ribbon, and a Minerva, I believe.
That is all really good early equipment. In particular, so fixed dice are one of those weapons that is highly polarizing among the racing community. A lot of racers really like it, especially a lot of newer racers tend to really rely on fixed dice if they get them early, because it can just do stupid amounts of damage.
Yeah.
But the more people race, the more they tend to sort of shy away from using fixed dice later on, because they're slow.
Yeah, they can be super slow. They're great if you attach them to like Dragoon Boots and a Dragon Horn, and you can do a lot of really good early damage. But generally, when your levels get high enough, you want something that's more consistent for sure. But if you get to the point where you're storming Kefka's castle and you don't really have a lot of high damage things, it could be very much a lifeline or the thing that stops you. By the way, in the booth now, we've got me. I'm Andrew Racho. I'm a voiceover actor. I'm a writer. You've probably seen some cartoons I've been in, or played some games that I've been in. I've been around. We got Ravlin, who is Ravlin is a legend in here. Is the one who's created basically all the starter stuff that you need to be part of this Worlds Collide community and play some games and enjoy this yourself. And I've watched all your stuff when I was first getting into this, so more than enough praise to you. But I'll let you obviously hype yourself up a little bit more as well.
I appreciate. You started going, and I'm like, I'm gonna see where he goes with this one.
All right, so we've got, by the way, a lot of stuff in here that I'm sure people are going to be very confused at what these items are. In fact, we'll be pretty confused as we're looking at it. Like eggnog, I'm not quite sure what that is, but I guess we'll find out. We've got the earmuffs, which I'm guessing, in the snow globe. I'm guessing these are all sort of like names that are related to the thing, and they're going to be spending some time trying to figure out what all that is.
I presume so. Like, I would guess a cozy fire is probably a sleeping bag or a tent.
Yes, hot cocoa. The descriptions are there. Everyone's got their colors on their stuff a little hard to read, and by everyone out there, I mean Jack and Miss Wedge in particular.
Yeah, absolutely, Poot Scooty. We absolutely love bringing new people in and sharing our joy and passion of playing this game with other people. Because what's more fun than playing a game but playing with other folks. And for people who are just starting out, there is a snow globe and 5 golden rings. I really, really don't know what those are.
I don't either.
Anyway, what I was saying, if you go ahead and join our Discord, which I will work on linking our website in just a moment here, or maybe one of the other folks in chat can do that for us. We have quite a bit of materials that have been made for folks to start out. We have beginners guides, written guides, FAQs, and we've got some video guides that I worked on, called Moogle's First Seed, which is sort of a guided experience. If you want to go ahead and download the same seed that I played and play through the game with someone, like, you can play it and go through the checks as I'm going through them, or you can download this seed with the same set of flags, so it'll be a little bit different, but not quite, but still the same relative difficulty level. Those are currently made on an old version of the randomizer, where they will get updated when we release 1.0. I have no idea how I'm going to figure out what to do with that, but I'm looking forward to the challenge.
So, by the way, Brianna is saying in chat that some of these items may be custom. We've got 5 golden rings, cuts poison, wind, water, earth, and pearl damage in half. So, this could be interesting. We might not know exactly know what everything is doing here. So, this is going to be an interesting seed. The things that we might see a lot of the runners rely on stuff that seems familiar, and we'll see if they take on the things that don't.
I'm very, still very interested in seeing what some of these do, and I think our what is a Bree special? Please, Red Baron, go over the Bree special. Tell me what it is.
So it looks like we've got the hot cocoa is like a healing thing. Oh, whoa. The Bree specials party-wide safe shell, haste, float, and regen. That's kind of like Marvel Shoes Plus in a way. Jacobus is headed off to the Fanatics Tower as an early check, by the way. And guess who we've got there? We have got Tara. I didn't give you time to respond.
Yeah, we've got Tara. Now, here's the thing. So Jack is the first one of our racers to actually, peek the tower. That's one of the... So Fanatics Tower is a really awful check, especially early if you don't have any magic, because you then won't be able to do anything. But we do have a Yeti, and the Yeti doesn't care about your magic. He is still going to body slam things because he's a Yeti. He doesn't listen. The good thing... Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's grinding up a couple of levels, which makes 100% sense to me. Especially because we generally start at level 3, and at level 3 you have like 50 HP, and gosh darn it, if it ain't hard to just survive a stiff breeze at 3 HP.
But this is huge for Jacobus to find a grind spot, like right there, because now Jacobus knows that the Revivifiers are going to work. And all he has to do is just grind at this point, if it's so desired. But looks like Jacobus is just going to pop into Fanatics Tower and be like, nah, I think I'm good.
Yeah, so at this point, he is about 1 level ahead of the average enemy leveling here. So you can just sort of hope that you're going to make it through okay. Fanatics Tower is rough because you can only use magic, and frankly, it's just a lot of silly stairs.
Yeah. Your best bets usually doing Fanatics Tower are to have some items that help, such as super balls or fire rods or poison rods, anything that you can throw that might help that's not part of the throw command. And anything like that's going to be very, very helpful.
Absolutely. And welcome to J Shinoku 1600. I apologize. I almost certainly butchered that. But I did it with confidence, so I'm sure it's fine. So right now, what you are seeing is you have 4 people who are currently racing the same seed. They are all playing the same exact same game from our randomizer. We're trying to see who gets there first. And we are looking at a special holiday themed seed that was lovingly crafted by BreanaFoFanna. So there are lots of special things in there, such as, tents have been renamed Cozy Fires. We've got eggnog and wassail instead of tonics and potions. And we've got a lot of extra things that I don't know what they do yet, and I'm very curious.
Yeah, we're all trying to figure that out. Did you get a chance to check what was at the top of Fanatics Tower there? Because I just missed the thing. But somebody found a golden egg. I'm just going to say that right now.
The top of Fanatics Tower is a Ragnarok.
Okay, that's huge because Ragnarok is definitely one of the best swords among the top 5 swords or weapons that you can get in this game. Ragnarok will allow you to not only do a lot of damage, but occasionally it will randomly cast Flare, which will do uh, damage that is non-elemental, meaning it's going to cause a lot of damage no matter what. So it's one of those very, very, very useful weapons in this game.
Oh no. So the Naku nuke is something that is a holdover from the previous community seed that I had mentioned earlier. If I remember correctly, I think that casts Merton.
Rutro.
But Jack has made it through that Guardian, which was renamed Mr. Entity, one of our racers, who I hope will get to see himself and beat himself up for progression. That sounded weirder the more I kept talking. Um,
So we got
and
Fantastodon's headed over to Maza right now.
that
Burn.
pogo stick is priced like it is an Aura Lance. But if I had to guess, maybe it gives you the jump command natively instead of having to equip Dragon Boots.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, these custom seeds are something I always find interesting and exciting. Half of the fun is just figuring out what's going on.
I'm looking at Mr. Entity's screen right now, and I'm seeing a stray cat. That, to me, is a good sign of knowing where that enemy is, because while choosing to take that fight here in the... Oh, there's another gold knight. While choosing to take that fight here in the basement of South Figaro, what that means is if somebody has rage later on and they're a very useful character, we might see this area come back. Stray cat allows you to do, when that rage is picked up, allows you to do basically, is it 4 times as much damage as you normally would. That does cut through defense, and if you or with like an offering, you're basically just doing a ton of damage. If I'm getting that right, Raveling, I think I'm getting it wrong, but
Stray cat is just a straight up 4 times damage multiplier onto a physical attack if it does cat scratch. This stacks with offering, it stacks with Genji glove. It gets real silly real fast. I do want to point out, I believe it was the Red Baron who went to the Thief in Zen and bought the Ifrit Esper, who has been renamed Heat Miser. And that very much amused me. And Jack has headed immediately into Mobliz to try to check and see what is here. And it
Bismarck.
is Ramu, I believe.
Did it say? Oh,
Hold on, I've got a super secret, cheat sheet here that I can look up.
you're right. I looked at it too fast and thought I saw it right, but I didn't.
So hopefully, apparently the pogo stick is a gold lance with the effect of dragon boots and dragon horn, which means you could then equip something like an Atlas armlet and a hyper wrist to just, amp up that damage immensely. Very curious to see if someone actually, uses that and, gives it a try. Jack did nope out of that Mobliz check and is now checking all of the chests in the Imperial base, going to do that sealed gate check, which is almost always the very first thing you do once you find Terra, because there's just so much treasure here.
Oh yeah, that was, in fact, Ramu. So, it's cool. You don't have to come back for Mobliz for that. It's no big deal. It's just a guy with the lightning wand.
Who gives people weird dreams and talks to them in their sleep. It's a little creepy, actually, when you think about what all the stuff that Ramu does.
Stays up till 4 a.m. singing Fiona Apple's "Criminal." It's just like, chill out, Ramu.
Yeah, we don't need to quite go this hard. So Fantastodon making their way through Burning House. Looks like these battles aren't that bad. Gigantode is totally fine, but the Chitinoid ends up using Sneeze, which means that person doesn't get XP for the battle, which is obnoxious, but not like bad.
Yeah. So it looks like everybody's kind of doing a little bit of divergence here, but it looks like we've got a Kefka at Narsh run from the Red Baron.
Ooh, that is another one of those like low probability but high reward ones. If you don't know where your progression is and you've got a couple of choices, not many people are going to pick Kefka at Narsh to begin with because it can be a long check. But again, if that is progression that other people don't have, that can really put you in an advantage. Now, in the Burning House, we do have our favorite boss ever, which is Poltergeist, also known as Spicy Chicken. And if you subscribe to our Worlds Collide channel, you will get our Spicy Chicken emote, who has been renamed Hot Wings.
Oh, this Hot Wings challenge is always the worst. Spicy Chicken is weak to stop, strong against fire, and it can cast Blaster and Annihilate just like it did with Fantastodon there. Spicy Chicken is a no-joke fight when you are not prepared, but when you're prepared, it is time to get the buffalo sauce out.
Personally, I'd rather have a little bit of blue cheese and cool things down a little bit, but that's me. And you know what? It looks like Fantastodon might not have actually saved before going into the Burning House, which is a very bold move, but a little bit punishing, actually.
Very punishing. I mean, Fantastodon's going to know everything that's up, and might save a little bit of time on like or might be able to reclaim a little bit faster time not having to check so much. But at the same point, you do miss some stuff, and you're still taking a lot of time to do all this anyway. So it's it's going to be hard to come back from all this. But at the same point, you never know. A couple wipes to Kefka. And who knows? I think last week we had two of the runners who were at the final parts of Kefka both wipe at the same time, not realizing they both were basically tied up at that point and both lost and could have easily gotten second place at that point. So you never know.
Yes. This is one of those things where it's like absolutely keep going, keep pushing forward, keep trying, because particularly Final Kefka, that battle can just decide, no, you're gonna lose now.
And I think I made Noopsy on my side. It looks like the Red Baron is not headed to Kefka at Narsh. It is headed to Tritalk, possibly to maybe get some levels up, beating this Ice Dragon. Yup, that seems to be the path, and then probably taking on Tritalk afterwards in order to get an Esper. With Umaro, that also means the Umaro check is available. So it's not too bad a thing to clump together three things in one. Maybe some fire spells, some fire skeins. Yep. But Ice Dragon can be kind of a pain in the it can be a pain in the Narsh for being able to freeze your characters.
Yeah, and Jack is now really I don't want to necessarily say pulling ahead, but he is making progress where our other runners aren't, because he's got that Terra, and Terra opens up 5 separate checks. So he's now in the Leet River, managing to kill a few encounters, gain a few levels, moving forward, always upwards and onwards, while some of our other runners are in other places doing other things that may or may not pay off for them.
Realistically, if Jackamus is in Leet River, he's probably just ordered some Grubhub and he's waiting for it to show up, because by the time he's done with this, half the seed's going to be over. At least the whole episode of The Bachelor is going to be done. It's going to be so long and exhausting. What I'm basically saying is the Leet River takes forever, even though Ravlin loves it so much.
I like the fixed encounter checks. Again, for me, it comes down to the fact that levels will solve all of your problems in this game. Like, if you if you are having damage problems, if you are, taking too much damage, if you're not doing enough, gain a few levels, it's going to solve your problems.
Exactly. Um, it's just one of those things that most of us runners who do this will just try to avoid it as much as possible. Um, but it's almost like when you watch Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and Pee-wee's has to go rescue the pet store full of animals, and it's on fire, and he rescues every animal, and he just looks at the snakes, and he refuses to go pick up the snakes. But then he's like, at the very end, he's just got to pick them up because that's all that's left. That's kind of what the Elite River is for most of the runners, because it takes a significant amount of time. But that doesn't mean it's a bad check. Like Ravelin's saying, if you're low on levels, it's a great place to go. Just like, to me, floating continent used to be the worst check. But, if you need a lot of stuff in a very dense, condensed way, and in a way where you're going to get some levels, it's an excellent check. So it really just depends on the strategy that you take.
Yeah, absolutely. Very... Oh God, very curious to see what our runners are doing. What's going to be at the end of the Umaru check? Is that going to break this seat open for the Red Baron? Interestingly enough, that is a check that you can peek if you go into Narsh in World of Balance. You'll be able to see if it is a character, because they will appear in the mines the way that the Yeti does at the beginning of the game in vanilla. So I didn't happen to see if that check got peaked and see if we know what's going to be there.
Hey, Ravel, I got a question for you. Are we allowed to do polls in the chat room? Because I would like to poll everybody right now, since we do have a substantial number of people in the chat today, what their least favorite check in the Worlds Collide randomizer would be. Not to say that these speak negatively of anything of the game or the community or anything like that, but there are the checks that we find the most frustrating and we tend to avoid personally ourselves. I know for me, for a while, it also used to be Ebot's Rock until I realized it's actually pretty fast. Might be interesting if we're looking for some holiday fun to have.
Feel free. Feel free. I would just point out that Doomgaze here has been renamed Bone Turkey.
Okay.
Which I am enjoying. So we did have Bone Turkey and Hot Wings on stream at the same time.
My goodness, a holiday feast, to say the least. Oh, look who's up there. LaCroix is up there, a.k.a. Seltzer, a.k.a. Setzer.
There we go. Took me a minute, but now I'm on the same page as you.
LaCroix with his nice LaCroixing jacket and his beautiful coconut water hair is there. We're going to get an immediate check to Collingen, however you want to pronounce it. It's Sabin, a.k.a. Tails, in the coin flip.
Sabin, who comes with jump natively, which is quite good. If he can equip any of the good spears, that is a good, solid damage option. Even something like Fixed Dice is going to be very good with the jump command. 1.5 times the damage, and when you're off screen, you can't be hurt.
Yeah, Fixed Dice jump is definitely a good combination, because with the Dragon Horn, it's like getting the offering, and it's a way to do a lot of damage real fast, and if you don't get all the good items, that's a possible way to get a lot of damage. Now we got Cyan over in the end of the Burning House after Hot Wings has been made all the way to the end of the challenge. Cyan's got, I did not see that fast enough. Everyone reads faster than me.
Cyan's got tools, and I believe we started with 8 tools.
Nice. So tools are an interesting thing. Tools, for the most part, everybody remembers using Chainsaw, because Chainsaw did the most damage, or it did insta-kills. If you need consistent damage, there's Drill. Debilitator is one of my favorites. It'll take away the ability for an enemy to have a defense against certain things. So if you get stuck against an enemy who's got strong defense, you can try that a couple times and then use the spells that you have. Air Anchor will often work in a way that if you use it on someone and then they make an attack or a movement or something, they will die the next attack, so that can be very, very helpful. Bioblaster is good if you need to get some poison on someone. Got an early game and need to attack a lot of enemies. You got the auto crossbow, and then the noise blaster. You know, if you just want to spend your money on something.
Noise Blaster has niche uses to take care of Katana Soul.
That is
So
true.
I also want to point out Mr. Entity has found that there is other progression. You can find Cyan at the end of Burning House, which has then immediately led to Gao in Doma. So this is actually quite interesting because we've got Mr. Entity and Jack going in completely opposite directions. They will be seeing different parts of the game and doing different checks. But it is entirely possible for them both to end up at Kefka's Tower at roughly the same time. That is one of my favorite things about this particular randomizer, because we do go with a certain number of characters and espers and don't care which ones you get. You can have multiple paths through a seed that are not going to converge until it comes to the final dungeon. As opposed to some other randomizers that, please don't get me wrong, I love and adore and really enjoy playing, but everyone ends up having to go through the same things because you are looking for specific items, where here we're looking for a specific number of checks.
You can say it, Link to the Past.
I've actually never played Link to the Past Randomizer, nor have I played Link to the Past Vanilla. Not a big fan of Zelda games.
Really? Link to the Past is one of my favorite games of all time. I get people not enjoying, you know, or having their preferences for stuff. I've always felt it was a game that, if you're gonna, you know, want to play a game that consistently start to finish is a fun adventure, its challenge and barrier to entry are very well balanced for a game that you get. And if you really loved it, that community's fun too. But yeah, not everything's for, you know, everybody. But yeah, we've got a lot of different checks. We got some Dark World Tamaza going on right now.
Yep.
Over on,
interestingly enough, you can enter the Burning House through World of Ruin Thamaza, but you will wake up in the World of Balance, I believe, which is interesting time travel shenanigans. But then again, this is a Final Fantasy game. There are always interesting time travel shenanigans.
Yes, we've got it. We've got the Rock. Welcome to the Rock. We have Fantastodon heading into Ebot's Rock. Now, I always forget the number of Carls that you have to get, which I call them Carls because it's basically how Rick from The Walking Dead would say Coral. You know,
22.
Coral. So, you know, so he's got to get 22 Carls.
Yep, and I always end up getting at least 23 just because I don't trust myself to be able to count.
I always thought it was 24, and I've messed it up every single time.
Hey, at least you didn't think it was 19, and you're like, no, I'm sure I counted 19 correctly. Why won't you let me through?
Nice. I at one point thought it was 27, and then, you know, just wait and get too many. You cannot remove that that guy either, which is kind of unfortunate. The treasure chest.
Yeah, no, because you hit the event tile before you can actually get to the NPC. One of the fun flags that we have for those who aren't aware is called Y NPC remove, which just means if you run up to an NPC and hit the Y button, it removes them, which can be rather game breaking. It can literally break the game in a couple of cases. You have to be careful with it. But as it turns out, things like locked doors, those are NPCs.
So it looks like we've got a check up on Mount Zozo. A demon you should never summon, ever, in the real world. However, if you're playing this game, Zozo's not bad. Got an Esper up top, but Mr. Entity managed to avoid the dragon check. He was probably not too worried about levels. The dragons will always come with like an item that's randomized. It makes them generally worthwhile to check if you can beat them, and the amount of experience points they'll give you is very substantial compared to usually the other fights that you'll fight. So a lot of people will go and fight them, and it looks like maybe Mr. Entity's going back with that Odin Esper and gonna beat a dragon. Let's find out.
And Fantastodon has found the Grinch. Our
Bobby.
Fun Baba, Fun Baba is now the Grinch. I'm wondering what he's going to try to steal from us today. It's not quite Christmas. He can't have it.
Is it our hearts? You gonna steal our hearts, Grinch?
I mean, I don't know about you, but my heart's grown 3 sizes today. My doctor's very concerned about it.
We got a blue Durgan up in the top corner. Blue Durgan can be scary. I got in a horrible fight with a blue Durgan once. It was really bad. I had no defense on it, and like it was in Kefka's tower. It would one-hit kill me. I had to use tortoise shields to defend myself against it. It was rough.
Well, interestingly enough, Blue Dragon is often considered one of the hardest dragons because, resistances to water are so rare in the game. Typically, you find, I think all you can find is really the Imp Gear and a Paladin Shield and maybe the Minerva. I'm not even sure about that last one. To get water resistances or water absorption, it's a really uncommon element, so you're just not prepared for it. So you're just going to be taking, huge amounts of damage from it.
Yeah, if you're lucky enough to have lightning spells or enough attack damage, you can take it out pretty quick. But you got to be at that spot, otherwise you're in for a lot of healing, and especially if you're not always guaranteed to get healing spells in this game, which is kind of rough. It can make some seeds real difficult when you don't have the money to buy a ton of potions or somebody with the right spells, and that's part of the challenge of this game too.
Hey now, I also got to tell you, Merton can be the best healing spell in the game.
Yes, agreed.
Because of the nature of random, sometimes you're going to have to get creative in how you heal yourself. Sometimes that means throwing on fire shields on everyone and casting Merton to hurt the enemy and heal yourself.
Yeah.
I've even tried to hit myself with heal rods for, that little bit of healing. It's not great, but it'll do something.
One of my favorites is get 4 Gaia gear and some Quake and see what you can do with that. We watched some Quake strats last week. That was pretty interesting because it's not a spell that people break out often, but when they do, ooh, it's glorious.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Brianna, when this is over, make sure that you post that, and also make sure to send this seed to Jones. Jones has been curating a seed vault. He's been trying to collect, and I think Franklin's working on this too, archiving sort of all of our weekly seeds, all of our community race seeds, all of the special seeds that we've made, anything that's particularly noteworthy. We are trying to do archival projects like that so that, in the future, people can go back and, replay the infamous, week 6 of the Battle Royale or the KGP where, Ravlin rolled flags that everyone hated because they were chaotic and random. Week 6 that will live in infamy.
Got a little Coliseum being pulled out right now. Coliseum's interesting in this world, Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide, because you can there's options where you can make everything visible, a handful of things visible, nothing visible, and you can it's a good check that if you got enough items, you can see potentially get into some fights to get yourself some really good gear. You got a lot of things you could find there. I remember running a seed at some point where it was like EXP eggs and Atma weapons and Ragnaroks. It was like everything you could possibly need to beat the seed. So it's, it's not too bad to check every once in a while.
Yep. Even if you don't have the rewards visible, there was a strategy for a little while where folks would, go to the item shops and buy like 10 tonics and 10 eye drops and 10 antidotes and 10 leather hats, a bunch of cheap stuff, and then just gamble at the auction house and be like, I don't know what this is going to get me. Let's give it a shot. And every so often that will pay off, and you'll bet eye drops for Illuminas and leather hats for Minervas, and it's like, well, I guess I'm good for the rest of this seed now.
Yeah. Oh my god, I really love the Coliseum idea. I felt like it was pretty good in this one in this game here for sure. Looks like we got a lot of people kind of retracing each other's steps at this point. Although we do have a Light World Zozo happening on Jacquemus's side. I always call this place Eating Bananas because the song always, as soon as you hear the song, the lyrics sound like they should be eat bananas, eat bananas. It's my stupid thing I sing when I play this game.
You know what? And now it's going to be in my head. So
eat bananas, eat bananas. It's so. I think, I mean, for anybody who pops in my streams, you guys know I have disgusting names for some of them, but Eat Bananas is definitely one of the more family-friendly ones that tends to be pretty catchy. Speaking of checking out people's streams, you guys should give a follow to Mr. Entity, Jacquemus Wedge, Fantastodon, and the Red Baron, if you guys so desire, and follow these runners. See if you guys are liking what you see. Go give them a follow. That includes BreanaFoFanna for rolling this seed and being awesome, and Ravlin or myself if you so desire as well. Your two comms here today.
No promises that I will stream on any sort of regular basis, but I do always stream when I'm creating new content for Worlds Collide. So when 1.0 releases, catch my streams to catch the new Moogle's First Seed series.
And do we have an official launch date of 1.0?
No.
Okay.
I have nothing other than soon.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got nothing other than soon.
Well, no. I'm sure it'll be a very holy day for everybody in the community. And speaking of holy, we've got a goddess up in Jacquemus' side for the Zozo check.
Goddess is one of those bosses that is very, very challenging if you are not prepared. She will counter regular fight with Love Token, which means you can't hit her with a regular attack again. But if you are Jack and you just do one regular attack and then end up getting the, flare proc off of it, I'd rather be lucky than good. So, let's just do that. And interestingly enough, so Red Baron also ended up getting Terra. Fantastodon saw that Terra was at Fanatics Tower, and he's decided, oh god, no, please, anything but the tower.
I never understood the disdain for the tower. The tower's not too bad to check. I'm sure it's a little bit more time consuming just to go up the steps, but it's not that bad to check comparatively. IMHO, compared to like having to climb all the way up Narsh and all that, or do like Phantom Train. I could be completely wrong on it. It might just be a subjective Andrew thing.
To each their own.
It clearly is a subjective Andrew thing.
That's fine, but I do have a little bit of the secret information, but the only choices for progression are Fanatics Tower or the Burning House, also known as Casa del Fuego. So Fantastodon's gonna have to pick one or the other to get through.
Yeah, seems like there's kind of a resistance to all of it, and we'll see. Well, in the Endless Waterfall, we've got a little bit of the Ghost Train. No one's got suplex, so this ain't gonna happen. One of the greatest memes of all Final Fantasy VI is the fact that you can suplex a Ghost Train. However, I don't think it's gonna happen today.
No, and you can also typically in vanilla use a Phoenix down or Revivify on it, but we have changed that. It is a flag where you can make it so that no one is you can't cheese a boss that easily.
Yeah. It'll work for the enemies, the regular enemies, I believe, correct? Like,
Absolutely.
yeah. All right, so let's find out who has made it at the end of the Barren Falls. Nope, nobody. Nobody at all. But let's do a quick recount of where everyone's at. So Mr. Entity is at 4 characters and 2 espers. Jackamus is at 6 characters and 2 espers. Fantasinon's at 2 characters and 1 esper, and Red Baron is at 3 characters and 2 espers. Now, even looking at this count, nobody's out of this race at this point anyway, because the tides could turn very, very quickly based on the checks that people have done or haven't done.
Absolutely. And I am very interested to note that, Mr. Entity is off on his own. The other 3 have all gone for Fanatics Tower. Fantastodon's doing so right now. While Mr. Entity is going down the Cyan route. So, very interested to see if he's going to end up having to go back for Terra. Is this going to be a dead end that, is just going to end in items and espers and he's still going to have to go get Terra? Or is he just going to be, off on his own, doing his own route?
Be interesting to see what happens. Maybe we'll see some other characters come through this route that could be, in some ways better. We could see a Shadow, or, we could see a Celis. Maybe Locke comes in, and then we get that Paladin shield, or everyone's favorite Murder Child, Realm, comes in, gets a level 3 spell, and then, that's adds some guaranteed easy Kefka there.
I have not seen Mr. Entity try the Tome Missile yet. I think some of us who have tried some of these other, community seeds might be a little where. Oh, did he? Oh, darn, I missed it. There are too many screens to watch at once. Can tend to be a little bit wary of some of these items because they will have entertaining effects, but maybe not useful.
Ooh, we have got a check of the Phantom Forest. At least Jackamus has Fenrir. That's a positive. Fenrir is guaranteed some guaranteed safety or close to it for the final or for the second to last boss of the game, which is seeing Fenrir is usually a huge sigh of relief for a lot of these runners. Yep, we got Locke in the Phantom Forest. Ooh.
Locke with Natural Magic and Runic. Locke playing the role of Celis this seed. While you can't go to the opera right now, or like do the opera, you can go to the opera house and do the check there, but you cannot do the actual opera scene. I wonder if you could, if Locke would actually be taking Celis's role there and performing in her stead, since he's got Runic and Natural Magic. He's basically Celis already.
So, which checks does Locke open exactly?
The weapon shop in Narsh in the World of Ruin, because he can pick the lock. He can also get you to the guy who gives you the cursed shield, and that could be useful, especially if it's a particularly low number of battles. He opens the tunnel armor check in World of Balance, if you go through the South Figaro Cave, and then he opens up Phoenix Cave.
So it's generally like a couple really, really easy checks, and then one kind of long check that a lot of people don't like to jump into. It's a lot of traveling around the Phoenix Cave, takes a little bit of time. However, it does have a dragon inside, so some people may opt to look at that bonus part of it and be like, yeah, I think I'll do it. But you often don't see people rushing to do Phoenix Cave. It's one of probably 5 or 6 places that most people don't rush to.
Fascinating. And the Red Baron got Terra and then immediately went back into the Burning House and got Cyan. Once I get Terra, Burning House is kind of the last place I would go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's you usually don't want to keep diving into like these time things, especially if you feel like you're a little bit behind. If you're getting Terra at this point when everybody else, obviously everyone else doesn't have the ability to see each other, but yeah, if you're feeling a little behind, yeah, you probably want to avoid the slow checks. But there we go. I mean, this is going to put the Red Baron in a position to really start to excel. You know, characters are going to start flying fast as well as espers.
Yeah, and one of the things that, again, I find particularly enjoyable about this game is that, we can sort of go anywhere and, we've got all these branching paths. One of the things that makes it really challenging as a commentator is to trying to watch 4 different screens of 4 different people doing 4 different things in 4 different orders. Like, it is hard to keep track of sometimes.
Speaking of track, what's going on the tracks right now with the Phantom Train. We just watched a little Tri-Talk.
Which
get
I believe
Tri-Rocked.
was renamed Sir Valley Garmandus Esquire.
What exactly does that mean?
So Valigarmandus is the retranslated name of Tritalk from Final Fantasy VI on the GBA version.
Okay.
And Bree has made, I believe it was Bree who made an emote in the Discord, which is a zoom in on Valigarmandus's face with a top hat and a monocle and I believe a mustache.
Nice.
So, they are. Oh, it was Terra. Terra Omen, not Terra in the game. Names are a struggle. So Sir Vargamandus Esquire is a little bit of a meme in the community.
Strago Poopus.
That is a Strago mosaic made of individually colored poop emoji.
Nice.
I think Breana has opinions about how good Strago is, but I'm not actually sure about this.
Strago can show up with a lot of magic power. Curse shield number, it seemed to be 2, so immediately Jackamus is going to go put that on. Usually with a curse shield, when you get a curse shield, it has pretty much every negative status effect that's going to throw at you. The way you combat it is by wearing a ribbon, or if you don't have one, you can at least be somewhat safe and wear a peace ring. So it seemed like everybody got ribbons pretty early on in this game, so should be able to crack that curse shield and eventually turn into a paladin shield pretty quickly. Paladin shield is pretty OP because it has defense almost against every element, so it's very highly sought after. So much so that there are flags within the game to make sure that they are not able to be purchased.
Right. With the current settings, I believe there is only one curse shield available in this, or one paladin shield available in this game, and that is in this seed, and that is found by uncursing the curse shield. On the other hand, if you allow these curse shields and paladin shields to appear in shops and chests, sometimes you just walk up to a treasure chest and walk away with the paladin shield. It's happened. I distinctly remember at the early days of the randomizer, I was doing a race and there was a paladin shield in Kefka's tower where you step on the switch to allow the first party to move forward, and there's a treasure chest right there. I checked it on a whim and it had a paladin shield and everything was better.
Nice. So it looks like we got maybe a belt check from Mr. Entity here, which nobody else is doing at this point.
Nobody else has Gao.
Well, it looks like the Red Baron could potentially be on the track with Cyan in the party.
That is true, but I think that's only going to give an Esper here because we saw the the imp, and we saw the very first check gave us an Esper as well. So there's only now one chance for a character left, because Cyan's Dream does give 3 rewards.
Well, the character's not in Cyan's Dreams. The character is in Doma Castle.
True.
Yeah, so eventually, you get a good feeling that the Red Baron will probably head there. Doma Castle ends up being one of those checks that's ridiculously fast. It gives you all the information right off the bat, and all you have to do is beat whatever enemy is there. So it tends to be another one of those sought-after checks. Generally, a lot of people will head to the Doma Castle in the World of Ruin first because it is 3 checks, pretty condensedly packed. So, but I have a feeling that Gao will probably be found on the Red Baron's side, for sure. But we'll see if Fantastodon or Jacquemus Wedge even come close to finding Cyan and going and finding the other characters. Chances are Jacquemus will probably never find Cyan, given that it's now basically an Esper hunt for Jacquemus's. They have 7 characters.
Yeah, Jack has 7 characters going just the Terra route and not getting Cyan at all. And it looks like Mr. Entity is now going to Fanatics Tower and is probably going to be a little sad to see a Terra there.
Yep, time to save and
Save and pray.
in. So it's now the line to get the 3 characters for Mr. Entity is going to be Terra, and then the other 2 were not too bad. So it's just a matter of who's going to get their Espers and who's going to get their characters next at a decent speed.
Yep, it was Terra to the Leet River to get Setzer. Setzer to Klingon Inn, which gave us Sabin, and then Sabin gave us Edgar at Mount Colts.
And then what was it? The Locke. It was at the Phantom Train, which we probably won't even make it that far at that point.
Yeah.
So Locke is probably very much out on Mr. Entity's side. Meanwhile, we've got Red Baron and Fantastodon kind of retracing everybody else's steps at this point, but the Red Baron with both Cyan and Terra, which 2 runners at the top don't have, could be making some good strides this seed. So not everyone's out at this point, even though it seems like Jacquemus should be taking the lead with all those characters. It's kind of a we'll see once we get closer to Kefka's tower. It's just a couple of things. Maybe a wipe. Maybe somebody takes longer on a thing or spends too much time in their menus, and who knows. Also, there is a Santa suit. I'm just going to say this right now. There is a Santa suit.
Yeah, I don't even know about that.
Oh, the Santa suit is delightful.
Anyway, so I will say, so Jack is known for playing very, very quickly and very efficiently. But as part of that, he is known to just sort of fly face first into whatever's in front of him and just beat his face into it until he gets through it, which every so often backfires radically. So even though he is, by the numbers right now ahead, that does not mean that this is sewn up at all, because he could very easily fly face first into something that he can't handle with what he has and end up with, a wipe here or there.
Asiago, we're not going to repeat that phrase of describing it, but we'll call it pulling a Jack. How about that? That is the family-friendly version of that. We've got Mr. Entity still making their way up the Fanatics Tower. Everyone's kind of doing some step retrace here, except for actually we haven't seen Doom at this point, have we?
No, Jack is off doing his own thing here. Defeating Krampus with a tummy touch there from Umaro. I do love the tummy touches.
Umaro is definitely a very frustrating character to have. However, when you want that physical damage, uh, can be at least reliable in offering that. And those when Umaro has 3 attacks, I believe. The regular attack, the snow globe, if you have the proper blizzard orb or snow globe in this thing attached, and then the tummy touch, which is just basically throwing itself at an enemy for a lot of damage.
Also, if you equip the Rage Ring, he will throw his friends.
Yes, which is always hilarious. I always found it hilarious that you just, of all the things that kind of felt like they might have been a little, normal, at some point you bring a Yeti with you to go beat Kefka.
I mean, it's definitely one of those, like, you're bringing a Sasquatch with you. What did you expect to happen?
Yeah. And the fact that they have this whole scene where they try to communicate with the Sasquatch and somehow everything's like fine. It's quite hilarious. It's a real fun Bobby one, aka the Grinch. Now, is this the first time we've actually seen anyone follow through with the Mobilis?
I believe so, but we do know that it is the Ramu Esper.
Yeah. I believe Jackamus saw it and disappeared.
Because at the time, that's not what he needed. He needed characters. Because there are so many more Espers in the game than there are characters tend to be harder to find. So most of the time, you are going to end up with your characters being what's gating you between Kefka's Tower and your ability to enter. But sometimes you end up with all of your characters, and now you're just searching for Espers and hoping, oh god, he's going to the auction house. I know auction house is not one of his favorites.
Yeah. Auction house gives you a gamble at potentially getting these Espers. The more items you buy, the more chances you'll get of finding these Espers, but it can be anything from like maybe it's like a 2-minute thing and you get 2 Espers, or it could be like 10 minutes and you've spent a lot of time on it. It's a pretty large gamble. The Red Baron is fighting the present, past, present, and future, I'm guessing, of the ghosts of Christmas there, which those 3 can be exceptionally difficult when you have 2 characters. All one of them has to do is get hit with Delta Hit, which will turn you to stone, and then the rest of the fight is exceptionally difficult after that.
Right.
Very challenging in that scenario and Kefka's Tower as well.
So Entity has now finished up his Terra. We do apologize for the poison effect on Fantastodon's screen right now. Don't look there if you are photosensitive. Looks like I think the Red Baron just finished up with Mobley's there. And now we are continuing on.
We've still got quite a number of Espers to get on everybody else's side, but we're going to start seeing probably some much faster strats at this point. We know that we've seen a significant number of defensive items captured from everyone. There's some ice shields, thunder shields, fire shields, all that elemental damage that you need climbing the tower. We've got Minervas, we've got some pretty good weapons. I've seen Pearl Lances and a Ragnarok out there, so it seems like everybody's got Terra at this point. We've got some good gear. We'll see now how everyone wants to go about going fast, whether they, Mr. Entity's checking some of the sealed gate here, but, at what point do people pull the trigger to say, hey, let's just ignore all the chests and just go really fast?
For me, that's always a call of like, how confident am I? If I could enter Kefka's Tower right now, would I feel confident to take on whatever is there? If the answer is yes, then I stop checking chests. Well, at least I try. I get really distracted by shiny things.
Yeah.
I'm kind of secretly a magpie, I think.
Personally, I never feel confident enough. I've always been like, even in StarCraft, I was the type of player who would only go in if I could guarantee that none of my troops would die. So,
Oh boy.
yeah, it just tends to be why I end up being in the lower ranks. Is I check a lot of chests that I probably should trust myself in being able to know that I'm in a decent spot. Uh, but you know, you guys are a lot better about doing that than I am, and certainly the players that we're seeing today. So we'll see when we stop seeing checks like Mr. Enemies doing, and when they're ready to go. Everyone's also not going to be going in at crazy high levels. Everybody's going to be going in like maybe a couple thousand HP if they're lucky to try and beat Kefka, and that's going to lead for often a longer Kefka fight, but also getting there faster will ultimately save time in the grand scheme of the seed.
Yeah, and I lost my train of thought. It just left without me. Well, that's
All
fun.
right. This is probably a good time to mention that today's seed is brought to you by LaCroix, not the tasty beverage, but by our nickname for Setzer, LaCroix.
Did you just call LaCroix a tasty beverage when it is seltzer water that was once in the same room as a fruit?
Oh, I love LaCroix. Don't even get me started. LaCroix is one of my favorite. I have a subtle addiction to it. It's so good. It's like
It
when you want water but don't want water, when you want a fruit beverage but don't want a fruit beverage, and you want something that's not full of a lot of sugar, LaCroix just like hits the spot.
it's like, watermelon but with low battery.
Oh, you guys are quoting Instagram way too much. Everybody in the chat, Brianna is saying LaCroix tastes like the concept of fruit.
I heard the concept of a lemon described to me once, and I decided to make a sparkling water out of it.
I gotta say, just hook me up with some pamplemousse right into my veins. I am good. I'm good with it.
I suppose there's no accounting for taste, says the guy with 5 Moogles tattooed to his body, so I'm one to talk.
Look, if the Leet River were made of LaCroix, I would be going there every single time.
I now want to find a way to make the animation of the Leet River carbonated.
Just like have the end enemy at the Leet River a sprite of LaCroix. Just like a gigantic. It's like a gigantic hibiscus tea LaCroix.
But yes, as you can see, for those who are not, regular viewers or regular players of the game, we take everything very seriously here. I mean, we do take things more seriously. We hold regular events and tournaments, and in that, people do get very, very, intense and serious about it. But there's also a lot of us who are just here for the fun and here for the enjoyment, and don't take ourselves too seriously. That's one of the things that I think this randomizer really offers is a very customizable experience, so you can play the kind of game that you want to play. If you want to, grind for really fast times on a particular set of flags, you can do that, and there are people who will race you and help you out and try and help you to get better. Or if you just want to create silly fun seeds like this, that is also a possibility, although I don't know how Brianna actually went through and changed items and stuff. That is beyond my knowledge set.
Yeah, I think that doing that is probably a lot of fun, but I also have no clue how to do it. Yeah, for everybody who's popped in within the past few minutes and is trying to figure out, wait, this isn't Final Fantasy VI. What's going on? What have you done to my game? This is Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide. This is a randomizer this community has developed, where basically it's your favorite Final Fantasy VI game that you've seen and grown up with, except the people in this world have gutted the story and turned it into one big treasure hunt. Find the characters you want, find the espers up to the number that is required, and then you can go to Kefka's tower and punch him in the face. Along with that are a number of many different nuances to this game that you probably remember playing it. If you haven't played it, Worlds Collide, it's a lot of fun. if you enjoyed Final Fantasy VI, it's a lot of fun. If you like treasure hunts, it's also pretty fun too. So, yeah.
And so yeah, we welcome anyone who hasn't joined our Discord. Please jump on in. Now is a really good time to join. Get your feet wet, get yourself prepared for at some point soon ish release of 1.0, where there's going to be lots of new features, and I can't promise what the event will be, but I am sure that the admin team will throw together some sort of launch event to share our excitement of this game with everyone else. So be on the lookout for that.
Speaking of being on the lookout, let's point out some of the things that Breana has put in the seed in order to make this seed a lot more festive for everybody. We've seen the Santa's hat. We've seen the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future that Jackamus is fighting right now. We've seen a lot of the items be very cozy things that you would eat and consume during Christmas. We've had some hot cocoa, things like that. Ravlin, what have you seen in the seed so far?
Then there were some other things. There was a Naku nuke, which I believe casts Merton. There was a pogo stick, apparently a classic Christmas toy, I guess. To me, that would be a classic Christmas broken leg, but I am known to be the most graceful human being on the face of the planet. The Jones Jabber.
It's a major award.
And it looks like Jack is headed into Kefka's tower. He is our first one there by a long stretch.
Wow.
His early play of going straight into Fanatics tower really paid off. That's one of those things where you can peek it, and Jack didn't do a lot of preparations beforehand. He just threw himself at it and hoped, and it worked out for him.
Yeah, the Cyan play didn't end up being the thing that would lead to other characters like Realm and Shadow and all that, or at least those checks hadn't turned out to be. I bet you down the line of Edgar checks probably opens up all that, or maybe Daryl's Tomb, or something else is going to lead to all these other characters. That the seed. That's how randomizers work. Sometimes you make one choice and it doesn't end up being the choice that is the one that gets you all the things that you want. It's just how it goes sometimes. But a mixture of good rando luck and excellent skill is always the thing that gets you to the end first. Speaking of Daryl's Tomb, we've got Fantastodon checking Daryl's Tomb. And we don't have a statue skip in this one. There is a flag in the community for a lot of people who don't like Kefka's Tower. A fun way to make it interesting is if you get more items or more characters or more espers, sometimes they'll let you skip right to the end and just go fight the statues in Kefka, which is a cool way to keep this game a little more interesting and fun, and give the players who like the options a little more challenge to it. So but we're not going to be seeing that. We're going to be seeing the full Kefka's Tower climb. We don't need to fight dragons, so that's why you're seeing Jackamus run right by that one. But I'm curious now to see who ends up in there next.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. My bet was going to be originally Mr. Entity, because he's got 5 characters to the Red Baron's 4. But the Red Baron already has 8 espers, so, it's really hard to tell who's going to come out ahead there.
Yeah, that Mr. Entity play with Cyan I thought was going to be a big payoff, and it might be the thing that holds Mr. Entity back.
Yeah, and that's one of those things that I very often say is randos are going to rando at you. This is a randomizer. The key word is random, and things will not go according to plan. That's just not how it works. But games like this really, really reward people who have a deep knowledge of the vanilla game, to know, the apparently heat miser on Jack's screen, how to deal with bosses, how to navigate your way through dungeons, how to do this, how to do that. Um, but if you don't have that deep knowledge of the game, don't let that stop you. We have put together so many resources for people to get started in this game. Cheat sheets and guides and video tutorials. So, if you are interested in this and you're a little nervous, like, well, I don't really think I could get, an hour and a half time, which is probably the pace that Jack's on right now. Well, let me tell you something. I probably couldn't get an hour and a half time on this seed. So, don't feel bad about it.
I definitely couldn't. These guys are really good at playing this game. So we got a little inside knowledge that it doesn't seem like everybody's going to be. Everyone's kind of getting their character limits, and we probably won't see this happen. But Edgar ultimately was the one who led to Celis. Locke was the one who ultimately led to Realm, which you probably won't see on most of these players' sides. And Go-Go was a check from Edgar to Mog to Go-Go to Shadow to Celis, rather. Okay, so Go-Go was the one locking Shadow and Celis. So it really seemed like the Terra play was the way to go. It was really the one main way, and the Cyan check was the distraction.
It was the garden path, and if you're sitting here racing the seed and you get a Cyan, you are 100% going to go into Cyan's dream, and you're going to go check everything he has because his checks are pretty good. So we definitely, like, I do not fault Mr. Entity at all. I would have made very similar choices that he's made thus far.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the exciting and fun part about this is, like, let's see what path everyone takes and how they end up getting all the stuff that they do. And it's more exciting for us to see it because it's, we get to see something that's just not runners following their exact footsteps and seeing who can execute faster, but we get to see everybody's kind of thinking and all that. And I think that's fun. And we've got Jackamus right at the statues. Now, there are going to be 4 battles that we find, which is Guardian and then each one of the statues. Now, they won't be the statues, very likely won't be the statues that you've seen in the base game. There'll be some other enemy from the whole of the game, and we'll see who that ends up being, if they're really easy or they're really difficult. We might have another Hot Wings challenge. Who knows?
Sorry, I was laughing there. So, Saint Sophia, or Goddess, used Love Token on Umaro. Umaro then attacked, jumped in front of his own attack because he was hit by Love Token, and procced instant death on himself.
Nice. It's a way to go.
That is very close to one of my favorites. The other one is when you are using sword tech and queue up cleave, and then the enemy muddles that character, and you end up cleaving your own party.
Oh, yeah.
I've done that at least once.
Or when you've got, like, Atma weapon, Genji glove offering, and someone casts muddle, and you're just like, no, please don't.
It's like, well, I guess I really am my own worst enemy. My therapist has been telling me this for years. I guess they were correct.
So now, I mean, it feels like Jackamus is probably in a good... Oh, skipping validation chest, it looks like. Rut-row. Validation chest is the last chest that most people could potentially check. Sometimes it's full of good stuff. I've gotten a snow muffler in there. Most of the time, it's not going to be anything useful, but it's a fun one to check for everybody else out there. Got a little number 24. So far these statues not proving too difficult for Jackamus. I think it really is just going to be, let's see who ends up being in the number 2 spot between Mr. Entity and the Red Baron.
And I mean, hey, Fantastodon could always, pull through and, do an upset. It's not going to take that. It's not going to take many mistakes from either one of our, second place contenders right now for them to suddenly not be a second place contender. Like I said,
it's very possible anyone could could fall to Kefka at this point. Like just a bad seed, a bad roll.
Yeah.
Anything could really happen.
In particular, Kefka Tier 3, the one with Girl and Sleep, is the one that I spend the most time myself, like thinking about and planning for and trying to figure out how I'm going to deal with. But if you don't have the tools to deal with Tier 2 can really ruin your day.
Oh yeah.
And
gotta
there's the Magi Master. There's number
All right.
24's big brother right here.
Hopefully there were some saves that happened.
And you could just see Jack sitting on the item screen there for a second, looking at his magic menu and like thinking this through of like, what am I gonna do here?
Sometimes you gotta rerun the whole castle, knowing you gotta get. You know, it's not too bad a strategy to beat the other characters, or the other statues. Rerun it and then just go with Magimaster. You know, in a main party. It's not that bad of a. I mean, it's a huge time loss, but it's if your levels you're not confident in your levels, it's not a bad choice.
Yeah, absolutely. And Brianna's saying, hey, if he actually, checked to see what spiked cider does, that might have solved the problem. Which, with that clue, that tells me that spiked cider does the effect of Bacchus wine from Final Fantasy IV, also known as Berserk or Bursk, depending on how many characters we have to work with.
So we're seeing some Leet River over on Mr. Henry's side, which we know that this moist river leads to, I believe it was Setzer, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I have my cheat sheet. The cheat sheet. Yes, it is Setzer.
So we've seen some spells pop out, but we've seen a lot of people really using physical attacks this time around. The things that really kind of stood out, looking at some of the on our cheat sheet here, is that we've seen Merton available, as well as Flare, Quick, and Cure 3 seem to be the main things. With if anybody found Raiden, which I don't think they. Oh no, Raiden was at the auction house. So if whoever went to the auction house, Fire 3 is an option as well. So we'll see if anyone really kind of leans into their spells and what happens. So it looks like Jackamus is going to do a re-jump into Kefka's Tower, going with that beefy party in the center, and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that's one of those, if you need to make that choice, you want to figure that out as soon as possible. It's the idea of fail faster. Like, figure out that you need to make this change as quickly as possible before, so you're not wasting a whole bunch of time, beating your head against a wall. I am noticing that when Mr. Entity uses the tow missile launcher, that Cyan keeps taking a step back, and if he's not careful, he's going to wander off the raft completely. He's already mostly off screen.
I got a question.
I have an answer.
The Magimaster was in the first statue spot, the second statue spot, or the third statue spot?
So not knowing how you number them, it was in the spot where Doom is in vanilla. So it was on the left-hand side of the tower.
Gotcha. Okay. So, yeah, I was just making sure that the numbers were lining up, because Jackamus densely packed the second party of those three. So, if, it would stink to go all the way up and realize you packed the wrong party. But I think Jackamus has been better at planning that than I have, just by kind of glancing at it.
Yeah, I certainly believe that. Oh, and it looks like the Bone Turkey has cast level 5 Death on Mr. Entity, and Terra has gone down. Whoops-a-doodle.
It's amazing how much of a significant lead just following the, all the Terra checks has been for Jackamus. And we're talking at least, like, it's going to be at least 15-20 minutes of a lead going into Kefka's tower, if not more.
Yeah. And I mean, that's partially, the luck of the Terra checks being, what needed to happen. And, Jack going and finding that Terra check and, seeing Terra in Fanatics Tower and being able to pull it off. But it's also a testament to his skill because, that was not an easy thing. Taking out that Guardian at the top, or sorry, the Mr. Entity at the top of Fanatics Tower. He did spend quite a few resources on it. He broke a Thunder Shield, which allowed him to get through it, but also, not to put too fine a point on it, cost him a Thunder Shield, which is not insignificant.
Yeah, especially early game if you don't have a ton of spells, or you get to the point where you just have to fight a lot of characters and you need that magic defense, and that could really put you behind the rest of the game if you are unable to fight against certain enemies that have those elemental attacks.
So Gao is always an interesting character for me because he gets the chance at two abilities because both Rage and Leap are replaced. My personal favorite meme of Gao is if you make the commands random and not random unique when you're generating the seed, Gao can end up with the same command twice. And my absolute favorite, which has happened multiple times, is double slots Gao. It's like, Gao, sweetheart, you're 13. Why do you have a gambling problem at 13?
That's funny. Oh, man. So many. There are a lot of those skills that they may be useful like one or two times, like Control or Sketch or something like that. But there's a lot of them that you're just like, you're almost never going to use. Capture and Steal tend to be very much not used. Morph occasionally comes out, but I can't say that it's been one I've ever, jumped on to use. Runic has its uses here and there, but it's never like something in heavy rotation unless you feel your characters are very underpowered.
Yeah, and slots is one of those things that if you really understand how slots work, you can take advantage of it. Because some of the abilities are very, very powerful in the right situation. I do think Jack actually went with the wrong parties.
Yeah, I thought the character was up the middle, and I thought he got it right because I trusted his ability to get that right better than I would, and wow, that happens sometimes, You know you need to go straight up the middle, and so you pack the middle, but all the characters switch around when you get to this that little puzzle part. So Jackman's got a little bit ahead of himself, and has to go do the run for a third time. I don't think we've seen any frustration indications in the gameplay, but I gotta ask Jackamus about that when the seed's over. What was going on there?
Yeah, I also just noticed that there is a sword called a candy cane. I'm wondering if that's the Ogre Nyx, and it will occasionally break if you swing with it too hard.
Ooh. Getting confirmation from Brianna that that's the case. Also, Fantastodon, I believe, is the one that knows that Stray Cat, the location of Stray Cat, and does have rage abilities, if I'm seeing that right.
I thought it was Mr. Entity, but it was one or the other. And once they get Edgar, they have rage. We'll see if they remember that, because that was now, whoever it was an hour and 20 minutes ago at this point. Do you remember that you fought a random battle an hour and 20 minutes ago?
It always depends on the battle. Like a Stray Cat is kind of significant, but we'll see. we'll see what happens. And also getting Edgar late in the game, does that mean you want to start building up a character starting from essentially 0 without those extra stat boosts from Espers, without those extra spells?
I gotta tell you, those stat boosts are not nearly as impactful as just getting your levels up. If you can slap an XP egg on him and just let him, gain up those levels, it doesn't matter if he has any stat boosts or not. Let me rephrase. It matters, but not nearly as much as just getting his level up there.
Yeah, for sure.
Which, if I remember correctly, it's because in the damage formula, your level is taken into account twice, so it's your level squared, while otherwise it's, just your vigor once. Something math. I just assume that I've mathed at you a little bit to explain it.
I think. Did Jack just get this right again?
I'm just gonna. We're gonna see. Maybe he's trying to burn off those holiday, extra holiday pounds by running up and down the stairs a whole bunch.
I mean, it's definitely a flex move if Jackamus goes and climbs Kefka's tower 4 times. I thought it was the middle. I could be wrong.
I thought that it was the doom spot over to the left.
I don't know. We'll see, I guess. No, I think Jackamus has this. Yeah.
I think Fantastodon is now trying to take care of an Intangier, which, here's the secret to Intangier. Run away. Just run away. Let invisible sleeping behemoths lie. I actually think that's pretty sound life advice in general.
Yeah.
If you encounter an invisible sleeping behemoth, just leave it alone.
Yeah, usually you don't want to mess with wild animals anyway.
I do want to note that Mr. Entity is really catching up very quickly. He has all of his 7 characters. He's just got another Esper. If he's got only 3 Espers left, I bet he's checking the sketchy guy in the woods and then going to go auction housing for it.
Yeah. Not enough money, so it looks like gonna probably sell some stuff. There's more than enough items definitely there that probably not going to be used. So, we'll should be able to do that. There's always the Boo Spear, unfortunately, just made a disappearance. As the
is the Boo Spear similar to the Pogo Stick there, Breana? Does it give you the Dragon Boots effect as well? Boo is another community member who is well known for favoring Dragoon strats, Jump and Dragon Horn.
I love the Dragoon strats. It was one of my early favorite strats to do, to the point where I ended up at one point beating the entirety of the final Kefka battle with everybody doing nothing but jumping.
Yeah, sounds right.
Glorious.
I mean, who cares about Goner if you're not here?
Exactly, or the even Fallen one if you can get everyone in the air fast enough.
That's true. You can also just skip Fallen one by doing enough damage in your first couple of turns.
Oh, yeah, Ravelin. I did Kefka's final fight. I set a record for myself at 3 minutes and 56 seconds to do the final Kefka fight.
Nice.
That first... Yeah, all I did was crack Atma Weapon Genji Glove offering immediately on Kefka, and that was it.
It is certainly possible to one-shot Kefka. I think typically it's done if you can get 2 Valiant Knives, a Genji Glove, and offering, and get that person at very, very low HP to the point where they're doing max damage with each hit. You can one-shot Kefka.
Yeah. That offering, or if your attack is high enough with something like an Illumina or a Ragnarok, which I was at level 90 at that one. So, yeah, EXP eggs.
I mean, at level 90, I'm pretty sure the Dirk would have done it.
Probably. All right, so we've got the final Kefka fight on Jacquemus's side. Magi Master is down. This is time to fight the Clown Prince of Darkness.
All right, now this is one of those battles. It is broken into 4 separate sections, sort of a boss rush here. You don't really get a chance to heal in between. I also want to note that Mr. Entity is about to enter Kefka's tower himself, it looks like. So, you know, all it takes is, Jack having a wipe here, and Mr. Entity is suddenly, in the running for winning this race.
Oh, yeah. And we've got the Serpent Trench being searched as well.
So here on the first tier, Jack is probably going to focus on doing some fire spells to make sure that that head gets killed. You generally want to kill the head and the long arm first to make sure that their counterattacks are dealt with.
One of them casts Quake, which most characters aren't floating by the time you get to this spot, so...
And let me tell you, that Quake can easily do 3,000 or 4,000 damage out of nowhere, and you're just like, why did this happen to me?
And unless you're lucky enough to have, like, Gaia gear or, Paladin shields or something like that, that can actually defend against Earth Elemental damage, you're kind of finding yourself in a lot of trouble.
Yep. Jack is showing off one of my personal favorite strategies, and that is the Merton strategy. Merton is a fire and wind spell with a very, very high magic power that hits everything on screen. And if you equip your characters with things that absorb or nullify fire or wind, you can use that to do just a massive amounts of damage very quickly.
Oh yeah, it's definitely one of the best strategies in the game to hurt and heal at the same time. While it doesn't do the most damage, by far, some Atma Weapon Genji Glove offering or Valiant Knife Genji Glove offering will do generally the most. It's really good when you're fighting a lot of enemies, especially like Tier 2. Which Tier 2, by the way, there are 4 enemies on screen. You'll see we got the blue arm wrestler up front. We've got some character in the center that's really hard to see. We've got the tiger head, and then we got the guy in the back who looks like he's about to karate chop his own knee. Now, the tiger tends to do the most dangerous damage. The guy in the back is the one who casts all the spells, which is why Mute is being used right now. The one up front does a lot of physical damage. And the one in the center is weak to an insta-kill. So you'll probably see some strategies dealing with everybody around that stuff. Usually the tiger head is one of the earliest killed because it's so dangerous.
Yeah, typically when I do this fight, I mute the guy in the back, then Tools, which is just sort of that machinery behind the blue arm wrestler, is vulnerable to instant death, so I'll try to take him out next. Then I will focus on the tiger head, and then after that it doesn't really matter.
And usually, people will kind of figure out some strategies based on where they're at, how they want to handle this battle. The arm wrestler will reply with 10 hits if you are not, once it's dead. So if you're not very physically strong against those kind of attacks and don't have really high defense against physical, you may wish to deal with the 10 hits and then heal up and then deal with the rest of the statue there. So it really is, dependent upon where you're at on that battle.
Yeah. But if you don't have mute and you don't have instant death for those 2 guys to really take them out early, you can quite easily get overwhelmed by spells and abilities from them. And, it can be very, very challenging to get through Tier 2, which is just one of those that goes to show that preparation really matters here.
So it looks like we got Mr. Entity and Fantastodon. Fantastodon is made a huge comeback and is in Kefka's tower, which is impressive.
Yeah, especially considering a 15-minute time loss at the beginning of the game. That is
pretty epic.
incredibly well done.
Yeah, and it just goes to show that like you could be very far behind in the numbers and still, you know, still manage to get ahead based on just which checks you end up doing. Now we've got Red Baron is doing the Zozo check. But is already at 11 espers and hasn't managed to find the last two characters at this point.
Yeah, I think he's going to need to do the Leet River. I know that's not people's favorite check to do, but you know, Leet River's going to give you Setzer, Setzer's going to give you Sabin, and then you're going to jump right into the tower. Oh no, and his Strago's using a Pearl Lance, which heals Goddess. Oh, that's rough.
So this third fight is the top head will heal and cast life and stuff. So you kind of usually want to take it out first. The second one's not too big a threat, just chilling out there at the beginning. But the more damage you do, the more dangerous the attacks become. Where things like Meteo and Train get used, and it's very difficult to recover when you're fighting that thing at a low, and it's got a low HP and you can't get that last bit of damage done. I've definitely wiped into those situations. So everyone's going to be very, very careful. You'll see Fenrir being used. That manages to evade a lot of attacks, but also prevents anyone there from dying from the Sleepy Dude's final attack. Once it dies, which is Calmness, which is basically insta-death. That's the one thing that can completely ruin a run. If 1 to 2 of your characters get insta-death at the very end, and then you go to the final Kefka fight, and you've got nobody who can beat Kefka. So it's a very challenging moment, and we even see Umaro's got a countdown on the top of their head, but it doesn't even matter, because we are on the Clown Prince of Darkness, Kefka.
And I do have to say, Jack is getting a few style points for me for bringing in Umaro to the final battle. Umaro can be unpredictable, let's say. But he is very powerful. He has, I believe, some of, if not the highest base stats in the game. So, like, Umaro is a very strong character. He's just got downsides.
So this looks like it's being a really rough fight for the Red Baron over on Mount Zozo right now.
Yeah, I mean, Goddess is a very challenging fight, you know, no matter what. But he made it through at the last second. So as soon as I said something, hey, look, it's the opposite of a caster curse, right?
So we've got everybody blind, mute, and now Fallen One. But we got that Mega Elixir going. I think Jackamus will be fine. Has more than enough health, is doing more than enough damage, especially with Terra doing 9999. I don't know if Terra ended up learning quick, but if that's needed, get a lot of damage done without taking a lot of pain in there. Everyone's doing high level damage. This going to be Krakow white screen of finish in a mere number of seconds.
Yeah, Kefka is not long for this world.
Even with Goner, Revenger, and like 2 hyper drives, there's very little that's going to stop Jackamus at this point. Jackamus very clearly is going to win this. So I'll give an early GG's to Jackamus for making some really good calls. Yep, there we go. 137.46 roughly, it looks like the time is. So GG's to Jackamus Wedge. And we've got a chainsaw taking apart that Kefka. Very, very different game. The graphics were very ahead of themselves.
Absolutely. And Jack is going to jump in and join us in just a moment here to chat about this run. Let's not forget to ask him about his stairmastering.
Oh yeah, that was quite the workout. I gotta say, quite the '80s workout with the Stairmaster.
Jack is one of our top runners, so he was a favorite going into it. But you know, Mr. Entity is hot on his heels, and Fantastodon's not far behind either. So
Really gonna be it.
Up.
Welcome, Jack. GG. First place on stream, second place overall. You were just edged out by Boo by about a minute and a half.
No, I was edged out by myself, being dumb.
We were wondering, were you trying to do a new exercise routine going up and down the stairs of Kefka's tower a few times? Burn off those holiday pounds?
Something like that. No, I accidentally, whenever I left to stack my team because I had no way to damage the Magimaster, I put them in the one party that couldn't possibly fight Magimaster by mistake and didn't realize until I'd gotten all the way to the button. So I gave whoever finished ahead of me off stream 5 minutes right there.
And in all fairness, when we watched the playback and we saw you stack the first party, like it took us a second to be like, wait, because we were watching so many screens. It's like, did he stack the wrong party again? You know, so.
If I made that mistake twice in a row, I would just delete myself from the internet and never come back out of shame.
So what did you think of all of the special surprises in this seed from Bree?
I ignored most of them, as I'm sure you're aware. I found Terra in 5 minutes and there was a Ragnarok there, so I didn't really mess around with seeing what this item and that item did, because it was pretty obvious what I had to do to win at that point.
Well, that actually would have been something that would have helped you, because the spiced cider, I believe it was, did have the ability to cast everything you needed to stop Magimaster.
I had no idea if I had any of those. That definitely wasn't the time to start experimenting around with items. I just looked around at what I have. The only way I was going to damage the boss was with Meteor, and at like 1,000 damage a shot, it would have been faster to stack my party and come back. So, yeah. I bought one of those Naku nukes early on because I just assumed, oh, that's probably a Super Ball or whatever, and then it was targeting my whole team when I was thinking about using it against Mr. Entity at the top of the Fanatics tower, and then I'm like, actually, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'll just let the Yeti kill it.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain that it was Merton from the Naku nuke. So.
Oh, okay. Well, disposable Merton would have been neat, I guess, but I had the actual spell, so whatever.
Yeah. Let's see. So Mr. Entity is actually pretty hot on your heels, and Fantastodon is not far behind either, which
Cool.
actually, if Fantastodon finishes within 15 minutes of you, Fantastodon would have beat you because he lost 15 minutes at the beginning of the game by not saving. So, you know, just pretty close race here on stream, and, you know, thank you for putting on a good show for all of us.
Yeah, cool. Anything else for me?
I guess what brought you ahead was rushing that Fanatics tower ahead of everybody else. Everyone kind of danced around it, but you went full force into it, and that's really, I think, what put you ahead earliest.
I couldn't see a reason not to. I mean, the worst that happens is I don't have what I need to beat the boss at the top, but I'll at least know what's up there. And I mean, I had a shield to break and I had a Yeti, so I'm thinking, there's a reasonable chance I can beat this. Just gain a couple levels and go up and see what it is.
Exactly, and that play paid off for you very, very much so. Doing that early Elite River, a lot of things that people generally would have avoided, you dove into, and it all paid off.
Yeah, well, that's just how I play. I don't really like to spend 15 minutes looting all the free stuff at the start. I'd rather just get to work on going through it, so... And I mean, when you see Terra just sitting there right for the taking, I mean, you gotta take it. She's usually the best character.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So once again, well done, GG. Thank you for putting on a good show, and let's turn our attention and see who comes out on top here between Mr. Entity and Fantastodon, or if the Red Baron's able to pull off a come from behind victory here.
Let's go, Bruins!
Thanks so much, Jagvis. And yeah, we're at the coming close. We're coming close to. Ooh, it's gonna be a really rough fight against this Magimaster for Fantastodon. Hopefully, has been learning the lesson to save, because this fight is getting. This is gonna be a rough one. Yeah. Oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. It looks like Mr. Entity, though, about to go fight Kefka at this point. So. Poor Fantastodon. Getting some tough breaks in this one. We'll see if Fantastodon ends up bailing out of the tower. We'll see. And pulling a Jackamus strat to just go in with a stronger core party for that first party.
Yeah, that is always the question, but you always want to make sure that you are clearing out everything first, so that you go in and stack one party and then just bulldoze your way through it and don't have to worry about anything else from there on out. And Mr. Entity going into that final Kefka fight, Fantastodon facing Narapa. Narapa is almost just a vanilla enemy here. He's not that challenging of a boss to fight. And the Red Baron did I believe, picked up his Setzer, or did he die there?
Oh no, that was Setzer, and that should be the Sabinch.
Yeah, if he goes into the pub there, he should be jumping into Kefka's tower now.
That is 7. Looks like Boo was able to find B-Knives this round, which was able to get Boo the ability to go through this seed pretty quick. So it looks like the Red Baron is no longer out of the picture at this one. Looks like we've got we're probably gonna do just a little bit of shopping, and then a little bit. Oh, the mistletoe! How have we missed the mistletoe?
I mean, the mistletoe or the toe missile?
The toe missile. Oh man! So Mr. Entity is done with the first tier of Kefka. Later, Kefka. Then we got tier 2. Mr. Entity's sitting at some good stats right now. I think this should be a pretty straightforward fight for Mr. Entity. It looks like Fantastodon did opt to disappear from the tower and stack their main party with people who could beat that Magimaster. So,
I mean, Magimaster is one of those few bosses where, that's just something you're going to have to do sometimes. There aren't very many bosses like that, but Magimaster's just one of them.
Yeah, and Boo probably having the ability to have those V-Knives, I'm sure, probably would require not having to dip in and out of the Kefka's tower. So I'm sure that having something like that or a number like that does kind of give you an advantage. Fighting in Magimaster makes you feel a lot more confident you can do consistent damage.
Yeah. Makes you feel consistent at that. And the other best thing about Magimaster is that it gives you a Mega Elixir, which is super useful for a Fallen One at the end of the game.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Fallen One can easily, it's something you have to recover from. You can't just ignore it. And especially if you get like a slip hit at the very first tier, it could be something that ends up wiping a few party members if you don't have anything to counteract the constant damage loss.
I have seen that happen.
It's definitely happened to me up there. That's why the regen is. I always tend to be a fan of bringing Kieran in as an Esper and using regen, probably as some sort of countermeasure to all of that, and also just to make sure everyone's at like a decent amount of health, because you're probably gonna not want to heal the whole time because it takes away from time that you could be damaging the statues. So, you know, let's see. We got Fantastodon making their way in there. Red Baron is fighting the
Heat Miser.
I want to say Heat Mangeur.
I've been on TikTok too much lately because I keep having that song stuck in my head, and I'm expecting someone to be doing, a makeup tutorial on how to make themselves look like Heat Miser.
What exactly is Heat Miser? I feel like an old person asking this.
It is from the movie. Oh God, from the two movies, A Year Without a Santa Claus and A Miser Brothers Christmas. It's let's see. Year Without a Santa Claus, a 1974 like sort of stop motion animation Christmas TV special.
It's so funny. I've worked in stop motion for a long number of years, and I have no recollection of it.
Oh, here, I'll message you the wiki entry on it and let you educate yourself about it afterwards.
A Year Without Santa Claus. All right, Ravelin, feel free to talk as much, because I'm like looking at. Okay, all these things look very clear because they're Rankin Bass characters. This is obviously a Rankin Bass universe. I just don't remember this. This had to have been one of those specials that like aired maybe like a couple times, and then everybody was just really paying attention to the Rudolph thing.
Yeah. So, let's see. Mr. Entity is making really quick work of Tier 2. Tier 2 is not long for this world. Finding that Ragnarok with Terra really kind of solves the seed.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. It sort of becomes hold A, Ragnarok goes burr.
Yeah. Well, now it's just sort of, I guess, a battle for who's going to get third and fourth place, and we'll see if Fantastodon is able to kind of just burn through this next part, or whether Magimaster creates any trouble, and whether Red Baron's able to go through this next part without having to deal with any problems from Magimaster. That could get them both on the Kefka fight at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely could. I didn't happen to notice which party Red Baron's likely going to face the Magimaster with. It really depends, because which characters are going to have the correct tools to take care of it. Entity setting up that Fenrir for that Calmness protection. Interestingly enough, Calmness is a physical attack that does instant death, which is why Safety Bit and Memento Ring don't protect against it, because they protect against instant death magic.
Interesting. So,
the more you know. Do-do-do.
Interesting. Yeah, there are only a handful of ways to really protect against the Calmness. The two main ones are Fenrir and Golem.
And then
another way as well, but that's very rarely used because it's hard to keep that on your characters as long as possible.
If you time Phantom right so that you don't get hit by a cast of Meteo, Phantom is absolutely a way to do it. I have never once pulled it off. I have always cast Phantom and then gotten medioed in the face.
A few other ways to really avoid getting super harmed by it would be to use Palador and maybe guaranteeing that only like one person that you really don't or only one person gets calmness versus two. Another version would be to use life 3 on your character, so when they die they come back immediately. But
Yeah.
none of that matters. We're off to fight Kefka. We're off to see the Kefka, the wonderful Kefka of Tower.
I was wondering how you were going to finish that because nothing was coming to my head there.
Oh man.
So Fantastodon's cleared through his rematch with Magimaster, and I'm not sure where the Red Baron's going.
I'm not quite sure either.
Oh, there we go. I guess just the switch didn't trigger the last time he tried to stand on.
So this kind of looks like we may be seeing Fantastodon in third, Red Baron in fourth. We'll see how it all goes, though. We never quite know. However, Fantastodon gonna make it all the way up to the statues. Say hi to Kefka. Have a couple quick words back and forth. You know, talk about their favorite football team. You know.
Yep.
They're gonna quarrel over that. Kefka's gonna throw a fit, try to destroy the world again, and the team's gonna be like, yeah, you know what? I think we really need to defend the Jets in this one.
Oh, I think Red Baron's taken a... Oh, no, never mind. I was worried that he was going to take a white peer on this Atma weapon, renamed Atmatech. Atmatech being our main developer here. Because that Atma did a Fallen one and then a Meteo, but both Terra and Umaro dodged the Meteo, so everything was good good there.
Seen a little bit of a pause there. I wonder if that's a respite of, oh my goodness, I can't believe I survived that. So it seems like the levels are pretty high at this point. Grabbing a couple sleeping bags, I'm sure taking that save. Yup.
I'd probably save twice.
I've definitely done that in a lot of games. No validation checks. Chest check for Red Baron. Just straight off to number 24.
Yep.
Get a little tier 1 attack from Fantastodon. I saw Flare come out, so I wonder if Flare's going to end up being a major part of the attacking strategy. Flare does take quite a bit of time, so maybe he's going to give Red Baron a little bit of time to catch up. It really is going to depend on how this Magimaster goes for Red Baron.
Yep. And I expect Mr. Entity to be done pretty quick here. There's not much more for Scrooge here to do to us.
Click.
There we go. There it is.
Not even. I'm going to watch the Kefka die. Getting the screen that says done.
So Mr. Entity finishes with a time of 1:56:36. Well done for a seed where, he ended up going down that garden path for a while and having to, find his way back. So, very well done. Fantastodon's probably going to come in at about 210, and I imagine the Red Baron will be maybe 215 if everything's on track. That's the word I'm looking for. If everything stays on track. Mr. Entity will not be joining us for a chat today. He was originally going to be on comms here with me, but he woke up with a sore throat and no voice, so talking for a couple hours was probably going to be a bad plan.
Yeah.
So maybe he'll join us in the chat and we can ask him questions in there.
Well, Mr. Entity, if you're still hanging out, if you're around, congratulations and GG's to you. The thing that put you slightly behind was following the cyan checks, whereas Jackamus ended up following the Terra chain towards success. So that's kind of where the route divergence happened. However, you managed to be pretty straightforward with all your checks, got everything you needed, and eventually made it into the tower before everybody else. And didn't have... Ravlin, did Mr. Entity jump out? I don't think Mr. Entity did.
I think Mr. Entity is so far the only one who didn't jump out of the tower to deal with the Magimaster.
And so far we're seeing whether Red Baron right now is capable of doing that. So far has that fire protection, so Merton strats on a wall change might happen at some point. Well, we got a good number of attacks that are doing non-elemental damage, and that's able to cut through defense as well. So this could be a very decent fight for Magimaster. Oh, and Magimaster is down. So
there we go.
This looks like Red Baron potentially still in the running. It's going to be hard to catch up to Fantastodon, but potentially still in the running. Quick into double tack star.
Yeah, that's just goes to show you that throw and drill are both very, very useful tools, even at the very end of the game, just due to the nature of how they work. You know, throw, I believe, ignores defense, and drill certainly does, and especially with Magimaster, that's very, very important because his physical defense, even though he is in vanilla in a place where you cannot use physical attacks, his physical defense is very, very high.
So we're passing here the 2-hour mark, and our runners are very, very close to being done. This looks like this could be potentially still a close seed. Looks like we're getting little 10 hits here. So heading off to tier 3 on Fantastodon's side.
Yep, and you know, it's a real question of will tier 3 prove to be an issue for Fantastodon? It hasn't proved an issue for either of our other 2 races thus far, but tier 3 is always that wild card for me.
Yeah, it's if you just get a bad roll on Sleepy Dude, it could be bad. But that looks like some big knife / offering strats, so / Genji glove strats. So I have a feeling Sabin. Sabin's dead.
Sabin? Do you mean Sabin?
Sabin, heads, tails, tomato. I don't think any of us ever... I can't imagine any of us pronounce these characters' names right, or even, like, the same.
Consistently.
How many people say Celis or Celes or Celeste?
It was just one of the, like, it took me a minute to process what you were actually saying there.
Yeah. It could be Sabin like cabin. Sabin like saber-toothed tiger. Sabin like the recycle Sabin.
All right.
All that silliness aside, we've got everybody, or Fantastodon is taking everybody up to go visit Kefka, to go hand him some LaCroix, and say, hey, look, this doesn't need to go this way. And Kefka, being the Grinch that Kefka is, a.k.a. Scrooge, is going to be like, you know what? No. Not a big fan of Pamplemousse. This offering that you're giving me, not going to cut it. Let's fight.
Funny enough, it was about 15 years ago I played Scrooge in a version of A Christmas Carol.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
And what happened? How'd it go? The show go? Was it fun?
Oh, good. I'm 99% sure you can actually find that version online, like the full video.
Okay, nice.
There's actually a bunch of the acting I did in college that you can still find on the internet. I'll give y'all a hint. It's on Vimeo. It's not on YouTube.
Vimeo is where you can find some amazing stuff that nobody really ever, not a ton of people really check Vimeo, but the people who do really can find some real gems there. It's really a filmmaker's site for sure.
Absolutely. Scrooge there did take out a jingle with a hyperdriver right after that fallen one, which seems a little bit overkill. You know, let me do 4,000 damage to someone with 1 HP.
We got this Valiant Knife offering Genji glove. Did we get a Krakow? We got a Krakow.
There
No,
we go.
did. Oh, yeah, we did. For a second, I thought it was going to go into Goner, and I just was seeing it wrong. But nope, we've got about 2 hours and 4 minutes, roughly. A little bit before that, we've got a GG's for Fantastodon. Red Baron, not very far behind at all. It's going to be a very easy fight, I think, for Red Baron. Got some good numbers.
Yeah. And we are now joined by Fantastodon. GG, well played. Nice 3rd place on stream finish, 4th place overall. Particularly impressive time given the setback you had at the very beginning. And we are now joined by Fantastodon. GG,
I appreciate the well played. I personally do not think that was very well played at all. And I don't know. That's on me. It was a very fun seed. Very cool.
Yeah, I mean, you did good. It sans that, sans the, little hookup at the beginning. That would have probably put you in 3rd place overall, for sure, and definitely ahead of Mr. Entity. But yeah, it was just that one thing to start. But overall, like, you made a comeback. We can call you the comeback kid.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, I had a good time. It's like, that's one of the weird things about Worlds Collide is, I've fought Poltergeist many times, and most of the time, it's rough, but it's okay. And this particular time, he stomped me, and it was on me. I forgot to save, so I had to start over.
Yep. But with that, what did you think of all the special little changes and additions that Bree made for our holiday themed seed?
I thought it was very cute. I thought it was a lot of fun. I hope folks watching had a good time. I certainly enjoyed it. I meant to use the what item was the Bree special?
Bree's special gave your entire party, I believe it was Safe, Shell, Life 3, and Haste?
Oh, man. I remembered that in, like, one of the boss gauntlet fights, and I said I saved this for the final battle, and then I totally forgot in the final battle. But I love that there were these cool, unique seasonal items in there.
Yep. Stuff like the pogo stick ended up doing, gave you both the dragon boots and the dragon horn effect on it. Spike.
So there was like way more customization. I didn't realize that. I thought they were all just like renamed items. I saw the pogo stick and figured it was like the partisan or something, but it was a totally unique item.
Yep.
Oh man.
And then Spiked Cider was would give you or whoever you cast it on Berserk, which would have been very useful for Magimaster. That Magimaster fight gave quite a few people quite a bit of a challenge.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure.
Jackham has had to re-enter Kefka's Tower twice because of that Magimaster fight.
I mean, this is like as close to a Plando as Worlds Collide can get, like with the Strega Umaro start, rough early bosses, rude Magimaster at the end, like chef's kiss to this kind of Grinch of a seed.
Absolutely, that's the fun part, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Now that I'm done, it's a lot of fun.
Of course. Anything else you want to say before we turn our attention to the Red Baron as he finishes out this seed?
No, GG's, happy holidays. Looking forward to fun Worlds Collide stuff in 2022. So see y'all in a few weeks.
Awesome.
Happy
Sounds great.
holidays. Red Baron. And the final, third to last battle. Second to last.
We're getting there.
We're getting there. Red Baron not far behind though. Having a little trouble, a little bit on this fight, but not that much. Starting to see some final attacks come out from from our guy in the back. But full confidence that we'll see a Krakow and not too long from now. Got more quarters coming out. Ooh.
Yeah, the good thing about that is it tends to have a pretty low accuracy, so that's not usually the worst thing. Although I don't believe Red Baron really kept Umaro going as a character, so I think Umaro will just be taking a dirt nap for the rest of this.
That's not too bad. There are times where you go into Kefka's tower with some strategies to just wipe a few characters and make sure you get the good ones going forward. There'll be occasional times where maybe somebody has a lot of spells that you want to use at the beginning to give you some something good, and then you just knock them off, and then bring in some other party members. Ain't nothing wrong with that at all. But looks like you can get Red Baron's kind of getting this loop that you can very easily get stuck into, especially in RPGs where you spend so much time trying to recover everybody that you don't do enough damage to stop all the people who are really causing you trouble. That's kind of, I think, where Red Baron's at right now.
Yeah, and this is one of those moments where, you can see that tier 2 here really can cause some challenges if you don't have the tools to deal with, tools and magic quickly, because those effects can really start to stack up on you.
Yeah, and we're seeing it's the ones that are causing a lot of trouble right now are the Tiger Head and the guy in the center.
Mm-hmm. But, we're doing okay. We've got some elixirs. We're, drilling and Ragnaroking our way through. I think there was a little bit of a concern there for a minute or two, but I think Red Baron has really pulled through that moment there.
Yeah. This is all just kind of the grind of it right now. Getting the jumping Strago is definitely doing its good damage. We got the 10 hits out here. Everyone seems to be blocking stuff. Let's hope Terra stays around. Very good chance Terra could be wiped here.
Oh my
really
God,
bad.
That's
really
absolutely horrendous luck there.
Ooh.
Oh.
Well,
especially with the Ragnarok, you would think she would have blocked at least one of those.
yeah. It's the way it goes sometimes. That is definitely one of those hard things. You could lose all your good characters, and if you don't have any decent backups, that can get hard. Kefka's not always the worst part. Kefka, you just need to make sure you keep continuously doing damage to. But tier 3 can be tough because you've got to really put the pressure on that lower enemy in order to beat them. Otherwise, what ends up happening is they start casting Medio, Grand Train, all this stuff, and you have almost no chance or time to recover while also doing enough damage to stop it. So this can end up eating a lot of time if you don't have a ton of characters you're confident with. This might be some time to crack some shields and rods.
Yeah, but that's not going to help with Girl, because she will absorb every element, so...
Yeah, and Red Baron is clearly noticing that for sure.
That is definitely the challenge. Oh, excuse me. So sorry. This reminds me of, I mentioned my favorite themed seed from years past of the Halloween seed where everything was undead, which meant that girl cast Pearlwind and immediately unalived herself. It's the little things in life. You gotta take the amusement where you can find them.
Absolutely. I think it's part of the fun. I created a seed of the week recently where I just I didn't have all the sprites drawn or anything, so I just turned all the characters into dogs and just named them after all the reindeer.
Oh Lord Almighty! But yeah, I think if Red Baron gets into the final Kefka battle with both Strago and Cyan, it should be absolutely fine, even if it's just Strago, because Strago's jumping, it shouldn't be too big of an issue.
And Strago's doing anywhere from 4,000 to 12,000 damage, so as long as Strago can continue to do that damage, should be fine. The calmness is going to be the big question now. Might want to keep Setzer alive just to kind of keep those odds up that Strago isn't the one who's hit with calmness.
And it's a miss, and it's a double miss. Oh,
wow.
That was... sometimes you'd rather be lucky than good, right?
Yeah, well, I know that more than enough in a career in entertainment. You can be really good, but sometimes luck's the only thing that gets you ahead.
All right, so yep, at this point, I expect to hit Fallen 1. I don't think Baron has the damage to skip that phase. So, I'd be trying to get Strago in the air as quickly as possible, and then with the other two, just, make sure to use the Mega Elixir once you're down to 1 HP.
Gonna crack that ice shield. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
No, absolutely. Gotta get squeeze every bit of damage you can out of this, crack those thunder rods, crack those shields, because what else are you saving them for? This is the last battle.
Throw your shoes, throw your furniture, whatever you got, throw it.
And,
throw your false teeth at them. That'll do something.
Kind of hoping that Red Baron gets out of this menu so that the battle can continue. We do tend to play on weight, so nothing will advance the longer he's in this menu. There we go.
Fallen 1 has made an appearance.
Use that ice shield. Use that Mega Elixir. Get Strago back up in the air.
You gotta jump, jump, jump. No, don't throw that. What does it matter? All right. Down to probably at least it's been about 12 to 15,000. Maybe about 20,000, at least a third of the way done on this Kefka.
Yep.
So
get that Strago up in the air, hopefully before the Goner goes off, just to keep things extra super safe. Perfectly timed.
Perfect timing. And go by.
Look, Gao has done his part. Oh, oof.
This could be saucy. Get them Phoenix Downs and fingers crossed at this point, because this could just be a healing loop for a little bit.
Yeah, it's one of those you can generally let this go for a minute, because most of his really dangerous things are counterattacks. So if you're worried about that, just wait till he's charging Goner. During the Goner charge, he won't counterattack, so that's your safe time to to get in the damage without worrying about, you know, suddenly being hit with a hyperdriver or a havoc wing. And this is also one of those, like, I haven't been counting damage. You know, I'm not sure how close we are to you know, crack boom of Kefka. And you
I
know,
feel like I think we're over half at this point. So it's just a matter of kind of how everything progresses from here. I mean, we're going to be looking at Lower Avengers made its way out. And hopefully we don't get to see an Ultima. That'll be very nice. Yeah,
you had to say it. You had to say it.
I did, and guess what happened? Merry
Uh-huh.
Christmas, Kefka.
That does mean that he's under 10,000 damage. This jump should land during the Goner charging. There's a chance that if Stray goes fast enough, he can get...
Yes! Yes! That is a GG! I was like thinking, if it gets 4 hops, that would be it. But the chance of that would be pretty slim. And we got a Christmas miracle. The Angel of Death is down. We got a GG for the Red Baron. Oh my goodness. Talk about good solid luck by the very end of that. Wow.
Yep. Clutch last minute fight. Very,
Wow.
very clutch.
I gotta say, imagine, like, I know Red Baron was a little bit behind everybody else, but imagine 2 runners going up and seeing that, like, somebody in that situation tied against somebody else. That would have been, we all would have been gripping the edges of our chairs. That was definitely a nail biter of a situation. Either way, it was always a nail biter of a situation. But wow, man, that was awesome. GG's to everybody who ran today. Jackamus, Mr. Entity, Fantastodon, the Red Baron. Wow, all you guys for doing these seeds, probably at least an hour faster than I ever would have done them anyway. You guys did such an impressive job. Everybody who's out in chat, please follow these runners. These guys are really good at this. If you enjoyed what you watched today, go check them out. Hang out in their chats. Go talk with them. See what they're about. And we absolutely have to give it up to Breana as well for putting this awesome seed together, giving us a little holiday cheer, some fun items, and some fun things to definitely explore in this seed. Ravlin, do you know if Red Baron's going to be joining us?
Yeah, in just one moment. But this will also give us a chance to not only shout out Breana for putting this together, but also for handling the restream and the tracking. Those are 2 rather big lifts to do on one's own. So once again, thank you for that. I would also like to shout out the developer of this mod, Atmatech. Atmatech puts in quite a bit of work, almost entirely on his own, at least for the coding stuff. He does consult with several other people to try to help, make things the way that everyone else will also enjoy it. So shout out to that. Shout out to Andrew for spending the last 2.5+ hours with me. I appreciate it.
The way that everyone else I gotta say, there's some ramen sitting next to me. It's gonna be keeping me warm for the next hour after this. I'm happy to be, in a situation where I can calm a Final Fantasy VI race and then eat some ramen and just have a nice cozy evening. I gotta say, all is well in the world. So as much as this seed felt like it may have gone in long, I'm sure, or may have gone fast or whatever, dude, we got it made in the shade with this kind of game. Also, we've got a great community, by the way. All you guys, I got to give a shout out to you, and especially you, Ravlin, for when I first started doing this, you popping in my streams and giving tips, and everybody else. You guys are all the rock stars of this community. So a big thank you to all you guys out there. I'm seeing your names in the chat. JCM, Hefe, Mr. Entity, of course, and Fantastodon, and all you guys who've popped in, and Breana, of course, and everybody else whose names have appeared this seed, and of course for the many others. Thank you guys so much for being the great community that you are.
Yeah, and we are joined by the Red Baron. GG, well played. What an ending to that seed. You couldn't have, written a better ending to that Kefka fight. So well played. You are muted, my dude.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. I finally got my mic working. Yeah, that ending. I've seen just Strago jump 4 times. I'm sitting here praying. I'm like,
Baron, can you
left.
hear us?
Sorry.
Oh, I can hear Baron. Can you not hear Baron, Ravlin?
Oh, I cannot. I am so sorry. That was a me problem. Whoops.
How you doing, Ravlin?
Better now that I can hear you.
Yeah, I was just saying, that last attack on Kefka, man, that was just kind of a throw it up there and pray kind of thing, and I hit the 4 jumps and got it. Three, I really liked what you did with the items. It kind of got me twisted around at the first because I think with the first seed they had fire skins in the weapon shop and Nourish. And when I went back, some of the items had different names and different stuff or whatever, but the skins were gone. I was like, oh no, I'm not gonna know what to do. But put together a pretty good seed.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
one was a fun one. We were all kind of gripping the edge of our chairs for sure, watching that final Kefka fight where not only was tier 2 giving you some trouble, but that tier 4, man, that final jump that just managed to give you all the damage that you needed to beat Kefka. Had that been like one jump, that could have been, a revenge attack away from just having to redo that entire fight, but that really pulled out in your favor. That was exciting.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I probably might have FF'd if I'd have lost on that. Maybe.
Well, we were all definitely gripping our chairs a little bit when Terra was gone and your Ragnarok user was out. But then we saw Strago was there and Cyan was still there, and the double calmness safety from Gao was like, I mean, how did that feel just seeing that?
Oh man, that felt pretty good. Right before the last battle, I actually switched it up. I was looking for a weapon for saving because I had the extra Dragon Horde. I had a Gauntlet, so I put Ragnarok on him because that's basically all I had to equip. I also put Golem on him, and I lost him in tier 1. So just it was scratching and biting and clawing my way up through the entire fight, and yeah, that felt really good.
It was definitely an epic fight. One for the books for sure. There was so much going on, and then just that fight was. That's kind of how the Kefka can go. Sometimes it's like you have the exact same things on everybody, and Kefka is really good to you, and sometimes it's just like you know one or two bad moves, and then it can really destroy the whole strategy moving forward, and everything can crumble.
Absolutely. I get a
Very
lot more
easily.
textbook fights at Kefka at a level 60 than I do at level 40. And it's
Absolutely.
just but I am curious about some of the other runners. I mean, how divergent were the paths?
Turns out everyone needed to get Terra. There were not enough characters going any other path. So the one runner who did find Cyan first and go down that whole path did have to go back and get Terra afterwards. And then once you got Terra, the paths were pretty similar because Terra to Setzer to Sabin.
Oh, Elite River was required.
Yeah.
I felt
Yep.
like I got trolled.
So
This was definitely a seed where you had to do Leet River, Burning House, Fanatics Tower. Burning House was an advantage by getting by at least getting Cyan, but also Cyan could have led you down the wrong path if you followed his checks super closely, which ended up being a challenge for Mr. Entity, not getting Terra early and missing out on Edgar, Sabin, and Setzer.
Right.
and with that, I do think I am going to bring this stream to an end. Once again, thank you, Red Baron, for putting on a great show for us, and to all of our other runners. Thank you to the Restream team, Andrew and Bree and myself. We are glad to bring you some fun entertainment here this Thursday night before a holiday weekend. And we are going to be rating Vampstar87. He's another admin of Worlds Collide. And he is also running this seed. He grabbed it on his phone while he was still at work, and then once he got home, he started running it himself. So don't spoil it for him, but maybe give him a few hints if he's not, checking out those special items that Bree has so lovingly made for us. So in just a few minutes or a few seconds, we'll be joining Vamp. Any last words, Andrew?
Happy holidays to everybody. I hope you guys have a safe, good holidays. Take care of yourselves, take care of your families, and we'll be seeing you guys hopefully in the community, uh, you know, and playing some more games.
Absolutely. And how about for a raid message to Vamp? Let's all say, try the Naku nuke. See if we can get him to randomly wipe himself in the middle of things, just as a little funny haha. I am chaos incarnate.
All right, let's
So
do this.